I collect attributes in the apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201 The Dead Can't Speak. Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang, where's our young lady? Zhu Bingwen was lying on the ground with serious injuries, and his breath became much weaker. But when he saw Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and the other two walking down from the top of the mountain, he still asked with a breath. The strength of the two of them was limited, and there was no way to defeat each other. They could only watch Li Zihan being chased to the top of the mountain. When asking this question, Zhu Bingwen had actually made the worst plan in his heart. Zhuang Lishan glanced at Zhu Bingwen indifferently, and ignored Zhu Bingwen's question completely. Seeing that Zhuang Lishan did not speak, Liu Zhuang said, "As you wished, your young lady escaped." Escaped? Zhu Bingwen was shocked. Wasn't there a cliff above? How did Li Zihan escape? Liu Zhuang sneered and said, "Yes, he escaped. He jumped off the cliff and escaped." What? Zhu Bingwen's face changed drastically. Jumping off such a high cliff and escaping, wouldn't that be tantamount to seeking death? Liu Zhuang. You will definitely be retaliated, another person said angrily. Revenge? Liu Zhuang sneered again and said, if your Li family knew about this, perhaps we would be retaliated against. But if your Li family didn't know about this at all, how could we be retaliated against? What do you mean? Zhu Bingwen's pupils shrank. Isn't what I meant direct enough? Liu Zhuang's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent, and he said, the dead will not speak. If you are all dead, how can the Li family know the cause, process and result of the incident? Zhu Bingwen's face instantly became extremely ugly, and a thought flashed through his mind, saying, we came out together. If we don't go back together, how will you explain to the Li family? Haha, how simple is that? Liu Zhuang sneered again, saying, just tell your Li family that during the training, we encountered zombie attacks, which caused us to be separated. We tried to find you for a long time but couldn't find you. Zhu Bingwen, you are also smart. What do you think? If we say this, what will happen even if the Li family has doubts? Without evidence, the Li family will not take action against our Zhuang family. After all, everything must be justified. Hearing this, Zhu Bingwen's face was ashen, and he knew the truth of what Liu Zhuang said. If the Li family knew that they were killed by Zhuang Lishan and others, then the Li family would definitely be avenged by them, and the two families would go to war at all costs. But if the Li family didn't know that they were killed by Zhuang Lishan and others, and couldn't produce definite evidence, there would be no way to deal with it even if they had doubts. Seeing the change in Zhu Bingwen's expression, Liu Zhuang shook his head and said, if you want to blame someone, blame your Miss Li for being too stubborn. She would rather jump off a cliff and commit suicide than survive. Uncle Liu, don't waste time talking to them. Get rid of them. We still have to do what we should do, Zhuang Lishan said. At this moment, he was not sure whether Li Zihan was alive or dead, and he had no mind to think about other issues. Liu Zhuang naturally knew what Zhuang Lishan meant by what he should do. He nodded to the two people from the Zhuang family and said, let's do it. Yes, the two also nodded in response, and then walked towards Zhu Bingwen and the others. Since we have known each other for so many years, I won't torture you. I will give you a quick death. Liu Zhuang looked at Zhu Bingwen and the others again, and said indifferently. Haha, Liu Zhuang, don't be complacent. Remember, you will be punished sooner or later. I'll see how your Zhuang family can bear the wrath of our Li family. At this time, Zhu Bingwen was not afraid at all. He laughed up to the sky, and his face showed an expression of fearlessness. He could fully feel that Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang had already decided to kill them. In other words, no matter whether they begged for mercy or said something that trampled on their dignity, it would not change the decision of Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang, let alone their current situation of death. Since they were going to die anyway, there was no need to say humble words. The best result was to die quickly. We're waiting for it. Liu Zhuang shook his head and smiled. Bang! Bang! The two who walked over did not waste any time. They clenched their fists and smashed Zhu Bingwen and the other man's heads with the greatest force. Only two bangs were heard, and Zhu Bingwen and the other man's bodies fell to the ground completely. Master, Uncle Liu, they are dead. The two turned around and reported. Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang nodded at the same time. Then, Zhuang Lishan glanced at everyone and said, let's go. We will go around the mountain to find him now. We must find out whether Li Zihan is alive or dead. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhuang Lishan waved his hand and walked in front. Liu Zhuang and others followed closely behind him and ran down the mountain at a very fast speed. Although the cliff of this mountain is only more than 100 meters above the ground, this mountain is indeed extremely majestic. Even if their speed is quite fast, it will take a long time to go down the mountain from this position and go around to the place where Li Zihan jumped off the cliff. It is not something that can be done in a short time. In the forest, 3 figures are shuttling between the trees. These 3 figures are Lin Fan, Murinzu and Murin Shan. After they got rid of those golden monkeys, they let Murin Shan train with some corpse monkeys. In addition to improving Murin Shan's ability as a sharpshooter, her ability in close combat has also improved rapidly. The most important thing is that under such powerful training, Murin Shan's various data have changed, all reaching 7. Brother Lin Fan, the range of the mountains is ahead. Murin Shan looked ahead with her beautiful eyes. From her position, she could already see the outline of the mountains clearly. A rough estimate is that the mountains are about 3 or 4 kilometers away from them. Well, let's rest here for a while, eat something to replenish our physical strength, and we will continue to set off in an hour, Lin Fan said with a smile. The 3 of them sat cross-legged on the ground. Lin Fan opened his backpack, took out some food from it, and shared it with Murinzu and Murin Shan. While eating, Lin Fan glanced at Murin Shan and said, "Xiao Shan, it won't be long before you will become a second-level evolver. Brother Lin Fan, your strength has improved so fast. If I lag behind you too much, then I am too weak." Murin Shan chuckled. Murinzu also smiled and said, "I guess your level will increase, and your ability as a sharpshooter will also increase. You will be able to shoot more accurately then." "Brother Lin Fan, is that really what my sister said?" Murin Shan asked curiously. "I'm not sure about this either. I won't know until you become a level 2 evolver. However, according to speculation, it should be like this," Lin Fan explained. "After all, becoming a level 2 evolver means that your data in all aspects will be improved again. You will naturally be more adept at using a gun." Chapter 202, To Save or Not. Lin Fan's explanation is reasonable. A level 2 evolver must react faster than a level 1 evolver. For a sharpshooter, the speed of reaction will inevitably have a great impact. If the reaction is fast, the shooting speed will be much faster, and if the reaction is slow, the shooting speed will be much slower. When Murin Shan becomes a level 2 evolver, her reaction data will undoubtedly increase, and her shooting level should also be improved accordingly. Of course, this is just Lin Fan's guess. Whether this is true or not will be known only after Murin Shan truly becomes a level 2 evolver. After all, it is not ruled out that the improvement of the sharpshooter's level can only be achieved through more shooting practice. "Why can't I obtain my superpower for so long?" Putting Murin Shan's question behind him, Lin Fan couldn't help but think of his own superpower. Murin Shan has obtained her superpower for a while, but his superpower has not made any progress. Is this superpower very powerful? It takes longer to obtain it? This thought flashed through Lin Fan's mind, and he quickly denied it. It should be that he thought too much. Perhaps the superpower was not obtained so quickly, purely because of his own reasons. The 3 of them finished their food quickly. Lin Fan glanced at Murinzu and Murin Shan and said, "Let's take a break, and then we..." Before he finished his sentence, Lin Fan's eyes were fixed on them. "Brother Lin Fan, what's wrong with you?" Murin Shan saw that Lin Fan's eyes were not right, and asked hurriedly. "Over there," Lin Fan pointed to the left front. Murinzu and Murin Shan immediately looked in the direction of Lin Fan's finger, and saw a person lying on the ground. "It seems to be a woman," Murin Shan frowned and said. "Yes, it's a woman," Lin Fan nodded. "Should we go over and take a look?" Murinzu asked. "Yes," Lin Fan nodded again. Lin Fan could see that the woman was not a zombie. From the outside, it seemed that she had suffered a serious injury. The 3 walked towards the woman. The other party was now lying on the ground with her face up, so they couldn't see what she looked like. "Hey, are you okay? Can you still hear us talking?" Murin Shan asked. The woman didn't answer. "Hey, if you hear me, answer me. If you don't, we'll leave." Seeing that the other party didn't answer, Murin Shan couldn't help but speak again. However, the woman still didn't answer, and couldn't even make the slightest movement. She lay on the ground dying. Murin Shan wanted to speak, but Murinzu shook her head and said, "Forget it, Xiao Shan, she should be unconscious now. No matter how much you say, She can't hear it, and even if she hears it, she can't respond accurately. That's right, Lin Fan said, then walked over, squatted down, and helped the woman up. Now, the three of them could see the front of the woman clearly. The injury was very serious. Very, very serious. If she wasn't treated in time, it would be very likely to endanger her life. To be precise, if she wasn't treated, she would definitely die, and there was no possibility of survival. She looks like she fell, Shan said. Yes, she was injured, and the fall was very serious. It was probably from a high place, Zhu said. Hi, Shan glanced around, blinked, and said, could it be that she fell from a tree? More than that, Lin Fan carefully looked at the injuries of the woman in his arms, and said in a deep voice, the highest tree here is only 20 meters high. She is an evolver. Falling from a height of 20 meters would not cause her to be seriously injured to this extent. She must have fallen from a higher place. When he came over to help the woman up just now, Lin Fan used the ring to read the woman's data. What he didn't expect was that this woman was also a second-level evolver. Moreover, she was not just a second-level evolver, but had exceeded a certain level. Her strength and speed data reached 10, and her reaction data was 9. It was precisely because of such specific data that he could check that he was able to determine that this woman was not just as simple as falling from the height of a tree. She must have fallen from a higher height to cause such serious injuries. Fortunately, this woman was lucky. If it were someone else, she would have died long ago with such serious injuries, and how could she support until now? Did she fall over the mountain range? Shan couldn't help but look towards the mountain range in front. It's very likely. Lin Fan nodded seriously and said, after all, this site is all forest, and every tree can't reach such a high height. Only the mountains can reach that height. If that's the case, then she is too amazing. She was so seriously injured, but she was still able to walk over there. Shan was amazed. Yes, without saying too much, the nearest mountain range is several kilometers away from us. With such a serious injury, she can still drag herself for several kilometers. It's really amazing. I'm afraid she is completely relying on willpower to support herself, Zhu said. Willpower accounts for a part, and her own physical fitness still accounts for a part. However, if she continues like this, she will die sooner or later, Lin Fan said. Brother Lin Fan, should we save her? Shan asked again. Now it's not a question of whether to save her or not, but a question of whether we can save her. Her injuries are too serious. Even if we want to save her, we may not be able to do so. Lin Fan shook his head helplessly and said, we can only try. If she can come back, it means she is lucky enough. If she can't be saved, there is nothing we can do. We will do our best. Then how can we save her? Zhu frowned, glanced at her backpack, and said, when we came out this time, we didn't bring any medicine. We should have brought some earlier. This is a bit negligent, and we didn't expect to encounter such a thing. Lin Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. He thought that the three of them would not need medicine to treat their injuries when they came out to train, but he didn't expect to encounter someone who needed medicine. That's right, Brother Lin Fan, we don't have any medicine. How can we save her? Shan spread her hands helplessly. She was kind-hearted and wanted to help this woman, but it seemed that she couldn't be saved without medicine. Although we don't have medicine, we have mutagenic factors. We can inject them into her body and maybe give it a try, Lin Fan said. Mutagenic factors have such functions. Zhu and Shan were both surprised. When ordinary people inject mutagenic factors into their bodies will change and evolve. This is a process that makes the body better and stronger, Lin Fan boldly guessed. Then injecting mutagenic factors into the body of an injured person may help the injured person recover faster. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Awakening. In fact, this was indeed Lin Fan's guess. He didn't know whether this guess was right or not, but theoretically, it should work. Brother Lin Fan, let's try injecting the mutagenic factor into her. If we delay any longer, she might not be able to be saved, Shan said. Lin Fan nodded and said, look around, don't worry, leave it to me and Zhao Shan. Zhu also nodded. Lin Fan didn't delay and took out a tube of mutagenic factor from his backpack. He reached out and rolled up the woman's sleeves. It can be seen that the woman's skin is very white and delicate. After finding the location of the blood vessels, Lin Fan inserted the needle into the woman's body and pushed the mutagenic factor in the needle tube. After all the mutagenic factors were pushed in, Lin Fan pulled out the needle. Seeing this, Shan asked curiously, "Brother Lin Fan, how long will it take to see the effect?" "I don't know either." Lin Fan shook his head helplessly and said, "It all depends on her luck. If my guess is right, she should be able to be saved. If my guess is wrong, we have tried our best and there is really no other way. Let it be fate," Murenzhu said. "Yes, let it be fate," Lin Fan nodded. However, when he said this, he suddenly felt that he must find a teammate with a healing ability in the future. In this way, if someone in the team is injured, it can also play a good healing role. Time passed by minute, and soon an hour passed. During this hour, Lin Fan and the other two have been guarding here, not leaving a single step. "It's been an hour, why hasn't she woken up yet?" Shan asked. "Don't worry, it takes a lot of time for us to inject the mutagenic factor and wait for the body to evolve. The recovery process of this kind of injury will not be that fast," Lin Fan explained. He was also telling the truth. It takes a certain amount of time for ordinary people to evolve into evolvers after the mutagenic factor is injected into their bodies. Therefore, according to this speculation, it still takes a certain amount of time to use the mutagenic factor to recover from injuries. Another 2 hours passed. Just as Lin Fan speculated, the recovery of the mutagenic factor, like the mutagenic factor turning ordinary people into evolvers, requires time to take effect. From just now to now, for a full 3 hours, the woman who had been lying on the ground motionless finally changed. I saw her fingers tremble slightly, and then her eyelids began to tremble. "She seems to be waking up," Murenzhu said. Hearing this, Lin Fan and Shan also focused their eyes on the woman and said, "It seems that the mutagenic factor injected into the body is still effective, and the effect seems to be very good. She was injured so seriously, but she was still able to be rescued. This shows that the effect of the mutagenic factor in treating injuries is quite powerful," Shan said. "Then we should collect more mutagenic factors in the future. In this way, if someone in the team is injured again, we can use the mutagenic factor for rapid treatment," Murenzhu pondered. "I think that the higher the level of mutagenic factors collected, the better the treatment effect should be. In other words, if we extract mutagenic factors from level 2, the treatment effect will be at least twice as good as level 1, Lin Fan said. "That should be the case," Murenzhu and Shan both nodded, agreeing with Lin Fan's statement. After all, there is a gap between level 1 and level 2, so the extracted mutagenic factors will definitely have different effects. While the three of them were talking, the woman lying on the ground gradually began to wake up. Her trembling eyelids continued to tremble for a while before finally opening slowly. "You finally woke up," Shan saw her open her eyes and asked quickly, "By the way, what's your name? Do you remember it?" After saying this, Shan felt that she had said something wrong. Asking someone if they still remember their name is like worrying that the other person has become a fool, isn't it? "Who are you?" the woman asked weakly. "We are the ones who saved you. You can't have forgotten that you were seriously injured and fainted, right? You have to know that if we hadn't saved you, you would not have the chance to talk to us now," Shan said very bluntly. "My name is Li Zihan. Thank you for saving me," Li Zihan thanked her. Although she was still a little confused when she just woke up, she did not forget that she was forced by Zhuang Lishan and others to jump off the cliff, and then she dragged her seriously injured body and walked all the way until she fainted here. She also knew very well how badly she was injured. If no one helped to treat her, she would definitely not survive. "So, this thank you," she said it from the heart, without any ambiguity. "Li Zihan," Murenzhu muttered the name, as if she remembered something, and asked tentatively, "Is your family in Songhai province, and you have won the National Women's Taekwondo Championship?" "Yes, it is," Li Zihan nodded gently and said, "Do you know me? I have heard of you. After all, when you won the Women's Taekwondo Championship, there were a lot of reports. In addition, your Li family is a big family in Songhai province, so I know." Murenzhu smiled faintly. When Li Zihan was 18 years old, she did win the National Women's Taekwondo Championship. At that time, with the support of the Li family's background, there were a lot of reports. However, at that time, Shan was still relatively young, and naturally did not care about these reports. By the way, how did you get hurt so badly? Murinzu asked. I fell from that mountain, Li Zihan replied. Did you fall accidentally? Murinzu asked again. Hearing this question, Li Zihan's eyes flashed with sadness, and she said, no, I was harmed by someone. Then you are too miserable, but you are lucky to have met us. If it weren't for us, you would definitely not be alive now, Murin Shan said beside her. Thank you, I will give you enough in return, Li Zihan thanked again. She is not a person who likes to owe favors to others, not to mention that Lin Fan and the other two saved her life. If she doesn't repay such a great favor, she will feel very uneasy in her heart. Therefore, she has made plans to give Lin Fan and the other two a generous reward no matter what. We saved you not for a reward, but simply because we don't want to see you die here, so we saved you, Lin Fan said. I know, but I should also give you a reward, Li Zihan said in a firm tone. Chapter 204 Return. Murinzu could completely understand why Li Zihan had to give back. Because, even if she stood in Li Zihan's perspective, it would be impossible for her to just say thank you verbally, as that would make her feel guilty. Let's not talk about the return for now. I want to ask you, how do you feel about your recovery? Lin Fan did not argue with Li Zihan about the return. He was more concerned about another issue. Hearing Lin Fan's question, Li Zihan stood up, moved around a few times, and said, I'm recovering well. What kind of medicine did you use to treat me that has such a good effect? Li Zihan herself felt a little surprised. She knew how serious her injuries were. Even if she could survive, she wouldn't recover in such a short time, right? So, she was also very curious about what medicine Lin Fan and the other two used on her. You know about mutagenic factors, right? Lin Fan asked. I know, Li Zihan nodded and said, extracting from animals and injecting into ordinary people can turn ordinary people into evolvers. Although she didn't have a ring to read the data of Lin Fan and the other two, she could clearly see that Lin Fan and the other two were null evolvers, so she didn't need to beat around the bush when she explained these concepts. We injected a mutagenic factor into your body to make you recover from your injuries, Lin Fan pondered. What? Li Zihan was surprised and said, mutagenic factors can also heal injuries. Yes, mutagenic factors turn ordinary people into evolvers, which is a process that makes ordinary people's bodies evolve and become stronger, Lin Fan explained. When we came out, there were no drugs. I made a bold guess based on this point, but I didn't expect that mutagenic factors could really heal injuries. Collecting mutagenic factors is not easy. You used them on me. When I return to the Li family, I will definitely return the mutagenic factors you used on me to you. As an evolver, Li Zihan knew that mutagenic factors were not easy to come by. She and Lin Fan and the other two did not know each other. In such an environment, seeing a dying person like her, it was rare that Lin Fan and the other two could use mutagenic factors to treat her. After all, if she was not saved, the mutagenic factors would naturally be wasted. After saying that, Li Zihan thought of a serious problem and said, by the way, we have to leave here quickly. Why? A hint of doubt appeared in Lin Fan's eyes. Murinzu and Murin Shen also looked at Li Zihan in confusion, not understanding what Li Zihan meant. Li Zihan took a breath, looked in the direction of the mountains with his beautiful eyes, and said, I had no choice but to jump off the cliff from the mountains to escape. I was worried that the other party would come down to find me. If they didn't see my body, they might expand the search range. If they meet us, we can't beat them. Don't underestimate us, okay? We are also very powerful. Murin Shan waved her little fist and protested first. You misunderstood. I definitely didn't mean to underestimate you. It's just that the opponent's lineup is really strong, Li Zihan said in a serious tone. Can you be more specific? I want to know the approximate strength of their lineup, Lin Fan said. Li Zihan himself is a powerful evolver. The fact that Li Zihan can say such a thing is enough to show that the opponent's lineup is indeed not weak. There are 9 people in total. And each of them is a second-level evolver, Li Zihan said. 9 people? All second-level evolvers. Murinzu and Murin Shen both showed surprise on their pretty faces. The two sisters really didn't expect that the strength of Li Zihan's opponent would be so strong. Lin Fan was also a little surprised by this. At this stage, the number of second-level evolvers would not be too many. And Li Zihan can name 9 at once. What's more, this should be just part of the power of a force or a family. It is enough to show that the background behind these 9 people is even more powerful. What are you going to do now? Why do they have to kill you? Muran Shen blinked, and her beautiful eyes fell on Li Zihan, very curious about this question. She didn't know how strong Li Zihan was, but she was just curious. Why would a team of 9 people, all of whom were second-level evolvers, attack Li Zihan? After all, such a team lineup is indeed rare. To be precise, this is the first time they have heard of it. I will seek revenge on them, but I must return to the family first. With my own strength, I will definitely not be able to deal with them, Li Zihan pondered. As for the latter question asked by Muran Shan, she did not say it out loud, thinking that it would be embarrassing to say it out loud, and it would also be an insult to her. Your Li family is also a big family. You should not come to a place like this alone, right? Muran Zhu asked. Yes, I didn't come alone. Originally, we both agreed to come out together to train, but they had evil intentions. If I am not mistaken, the followers who came out with me have been killed by them. They will definitely not leave any survivors, Li Zihan analyzed. She is also a smart woman. As long as she thinks about these problems a little, she can think clearly. These people are too abominable. You came out together to train, but they actually did such a thing. Muran Shan felt indignant when she heard it. Muran Zhu nodded and said, in a doomsday without rules and order, strength is the foundation. If you are not strong enough, you can only let others bully you. Lin Fan didn't want to pay attention to the hatred between Li Zihan and Zhuang Lishan, and said, in your current state, once they find you, you will definitely not be able to escape, and you haven't fully recovered yet. It's best to find a safe place to rest. It won't be too late to leave after you are fully recovered. Hearing this, Li Zihan took a deep breath and said, so, I want to ask you to do me another favor. What? Lin Fan narrowed his eyes. Please send me back to the Li family, and I am willing to give you 10 tubes of mutagenic factors in return, Li Zihan said. 10 tubes of mutagenic factors. This reward surprised Muran Zhu and Muran Shan again. Does your family have a collection of mutagenic factors specifically stored? Lin Fan asked calmly. Yes, there are, Li Zihan nodded and said, the rules in our family are quite strict. If someone doesn't behave well, even if there are enough mutagenic factors in the family, they won't be used on them. Only those who behave well will have the opportunity to obtain mutagenic factors and become evolvers, so, there are always mutagenic factors ready to be stored in the family. Chapter 205 Traces on the Ground. It's not just the Li family that has mutagenic factors ready to go, the Zhuang family and other big families and big forces are the same. These big families and big forces, as Li Zihan said, even if they have enough mutagenic factors, they will not let everyone become evolvers. They must take an incentive to encourage members to become better. Only those who become better are eligible to get mutagenic factors and become evolvers. Of course, those who have mutagenic factors to evolve are excluded. 10 tubes of mutagenic factors are not too many, but not too few. If you can get them just by escorting Li Zihan back to the Li family, then you can give it a try. Because Zhonghe province, where the Li family is located, is not too far away from here. Under normal circumstances, it takes about 10 hours to drive there. Under the influence of the doomsday, it will definitely take no more than 1 day. Are you sure that if we send you back, you will give us 10 tubes of mutagenic factors? Lin Fan looked at Li Zihan and said solemnly, I don't like people deceiving me. You'd better think it over before giving me an answer. Sure, very sure. Li Zihan, keep my word, Li Zihan answered seriously. 10 tubes of mutagenic factors are not something that the Li family can give out casually. In an environment like the doomsday, mutagenic factors are absolutely scarce resources. Every family in every force needs them in large quantities. Since the outbreak of the doomsday, the total number of mutagenic factors collected and stored by the Li family is only 30 tubes. The 10 tubes promised are equivalent to 1/3 of the amount, which is naturally not a small number. But Li Zihan is not only repaying Lin Fan and the other 2 for sending her back, but also repaying Lin Fan and the other 2 for saving her life. Her life is not comparable to 10 tubes of mutagenic factors. After all, she knows very well that if it weren't for the help of Lin Fan and the other 2, she would never be alive today. Repaying tenfold is also in line with her style. Okay, we'll take this matter. Lin Fan's eyes fixed, and he smiled faintly. Don't worry, we will protect you from any harm and return to the Li family. If anything goes wrong during the period, we won't ask for your reward. Thank you, Li Zihan nodded. As long as she could return to the Li family safely, she was willing to pay any price. Zhuang Lishan and others dared to treat her like that, and also killed Zhu Dingquan and the other 2. There was no way she would not avenge this blood feud. But the premise of revenge is to return to the Li family alive. With such a decision, Lin Fan did not waste any more time. He looked in the direction outside the forest and said, "Let's go out from here first, and then go to your Li family." Hearing this, Li Zihan shook his head and said, "That direction is opposite to the location of our Li family. We should go around the mountains and it will be much closer. I know Songhai province is in that direction, but our car is parked here, and it will be much more convenient to drive there," Lin Fan said with a smile. "Car?" Li Zihan was stunned, and her pretty face was full of confusion. "It's just a car, and you can find it on the road at any time. If they walked out of the forest just to drive, it would undoubtedly waste too much time. Our car is different from other cars. You will understand when you see it. Driving our car will definitely save time and won't delay any longer." Lin Fan knew what Li Zihan was thinking and explained. "Yes, our car is much better than other cars." Muran Sham couldn't help but show off. "Let me tell you this, if you drive our car, you won't have to worry about road congestion or being surrounded by zombies." "What kind of car is your car?" Hearing what Lin Fan and Muran Shan said, Li Zihan's curiosity was completely aroused. "You will know after you see it with your own eyes. Let's go. Let's not delay here, otherwise your enemies will catch up and it will be even more troublesome." Lin Fan waved his hand and said, "In short, you just have to believe that we won't waste time." "I believe it." Li Zihan nodded heavily. Her life was saved by Lin Fan and the other two, so naturally she couldn't doubt Lin Fan and the other two. Putting the backpack back on, Lin Fan looked back in the direction of the mountains, then retracted his gaze and walked outside to lead the way. Seeing this, Muran Shan and Li Zihan did not hesitate and hurriedly followed Lin Fan. When Lin Fan and the other four walked out of the forest, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others had already come down from the mountains and came to the place where Li Zihan fell. "Not here." Looking at the empty ground, Zhuang Lishan's face instantly became ugly. Although he was very angry that he did not get Li Zihan, he had accepted this fact by now and only hoped that Li Zihan would be better dead. If Li Zihan did not die and return to the Li family alive, it is conceivable how much shock would occur. At that time, the Li family would definitely go to war with their Zhuang family at all costs. Even if the Zhuang family is very strong and is not afraid of the Li family, the impact of such a war between the two families will be quite large, and both sides will suffer considerable losses. Once the overall strength is damaged, it is very likely that other families or forces will take advantage of the situation and rob the family. The potential crisis that will follow is terrifying. Liu Zhang also looked a little solemn, staring at the ground in deep thought. A person next to him took a look and couldn't help but say, "Master, Uncle Liu, do you think Li Zihan has turned into a zombie and left here?" As soon as he said this, he immediately reminded Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. "Zombie?" Zhuang Lishan's gloomy mood seemed to be about to dissipate, and he said, "That makes sense. It has been several hours since we came down from above. If she died from falling, she would definitely become a zombie in such a long time." Liu Zhuang nodded slightly, thinking that this possibility was very high. After all, it made no sense not to die from falling from such a high place. Since she would die from falling, she would definitely become a zombie. Although zombies don't have any thoughts, they don't stay in one place and will wander around. However, he soon noticed that there were traces of crawling and walking on the ground. "Wait," Liu Zhuang suddenly spoke, pointing at the marks on the ground, and said, "Master, look carefully here. These don't look like the marks of zombies moving around." Liu Zhuang's words made Zhuang Lishan's heart jump, and he quickly looked in the direction of Liu Zhuang's finger. From the marks, after she fell, she crawled for a distance, and then stood up again and left, Liu Zhuang said again, his tone becoming extremely solemn. Chapter 206, Continue to Chase. Zhuang Lishan stared at the ground with a serious face. He was not a fool and could see that the traces of activity on the ground were definitely not made by zombies. In other words, Li Zihan was still alive. This answer made Zhuang Lishan feel like he was awakened by thunder. Ever since Li Zihan jumped off the cliff, his biggest worry was that Li Zihan was alive. Although the chance of surviving after jumping from such a high distance was almost zero, it now seemed that this almost zero chance actually happened. "Uncle Liu, what should we do now?" Zhuang Lishan began to panic. He took a deep breath, looked at Liu Zhuang, and said, "If Li Zihan returns to the Li family alive and tells the story, the Li family will definitely go to war with our Zhuang family at all costs." Liu Zhuang knew the consequences. It would be good if Li Zihan died, but the impact of not dying was too great. Li Uzhong frowned and pondered for a long time before he spoke. Young master, we must not be anxious now. The more anxious we are, the more confused we will be, and the easier it will be to make mistakes. Although Li Zihan is a level 2 evolver, she jumped from such a high place. Even if she was lucky enough to survive, her body must have suffered quite serious injuries. She couldn't walk far or fast. We follow the traces on the ground to find her, and maybe we can find her soon. Hearing this, Zhuang Lishan suddenly realized and calmed down. He nodded and said, Uncle Liu is right. She can't walk fast or far when she is seriously injured. We must find her. Yes, Li Uzhong squinted and said, and, young master, even if we don't find her in the end, we don't have to worry too much. Why? Zhuang Lishan asked hurriedly. Because there are many zombies in this forest. Li Zihan is seriously injured, and once she encounters those zombies, she will not have a chance to survive, Li Uzhong explained. In other words, Li Zihan did not die here, but the probability of her death in this forest is at least 99% or more. Uncle Liu, that's what you said, and it's not wrong to guess like this, but now we are afraid of that 1% possibility. Her survival is really a potential huge threat to us. We must be 100% sure that she is dead, Zhuang Lishan said with some worry. It's like, they think that Li Zihan should be dead after jumping off such a high cliff. But now, death has become lucky to be alive. So, in this matter, he couldn't rest assured without seeing Li Zihan dead. Well, master, I understand what you mean, so let's not delay here, and now we will chase after Li Zihan along the traces of her activities, and we will definitely catch up, Li Uzhong said confidently. Let's go, Zhuang Lishan nodded. Having made a decision, Zhuang Lishan and his group began to chase after the traces of activities on the ground. When Li Zihan left, he only wanted to get as far away as possible, so he naturally didn't pay attention to whether there were any traces on the ground. Therefore, they followed the traces on the ground and soon came to the place where Li Zihan fainted. Master, there is more than one person here. Li Uzhong had the most venomous eyes. As soon as he came over, he noticed the footprints of other people on the ground. Zhuang Lishan's expression moved slightly, and he also stared at the ground carefully. After looking for a while, he said, from the extent of the footprints, it seems that there are 3 other people coming here. Yes, there are 3 more footprints here. If my guess is correct, it should be Li Zihan who came to this place and met the other 3 people. Li Uzhong made a general analysis of the situation on the ground. Master, Uncle Liu, look here, there are traces of someone lying on the ground to rest, another person in the team said. Hearing this, Zhuang Lishan and Li Uzhong both looked over, and indeed saw traces of someone lying there. The person lying there must be Li Zihan. Zhuang Lishan frowned and said, she jumped from such a high cliff and was seriously injured, but she was able to walk so far to come here. After meeting other people, it stands to reason that others would not save her. Li Uzhong continued to look around the ground and said, Master, there are traces of 4 people leaving here. 4 people really left together. Zhuang Lishan took a look and frowned even deeper. It seems that the 3 people really saved Li Zihan, Li Uzhong said in a deep voice. It doesn't make sense. She was already injured like that. Why did they save her? Zhuang Lishan didn't understand this question. Li Uzhong pondered, perhaps Li Zihan promised them some kind of reward, which prompted them to help, but it's not easy to treat such a serious injury. Zhuang Lishan stared at the direction where the 4 people left and said, what's more, in such a short time, he was treated to the point where he can walk on his own. How advanced medical skills are needed to do that? Li Uzhong couldn't figure this out. Jumping down from such a high cliff, whether the upper body landed first or the lower body landed first, or in other ways, it would definitely cause serious injuries. Even if such a serious injury is sent to the hospital for treatment, it will take a lot of time to perform surgery, not to mention that it has only been a few hours, and Li Zihan has been treated to the point where he can walk. However, whether they understand it or not, the fact in front of them is that Li Zihan is indeed still alive and has been taken away from here. Master, the direction they left was not towards our Zhonghe province, which means we still have enough time. As long as we catch up with them and kill them all, the Li family will never know what we did. Li Uzhong's tone revealed a strong murderous intent. Once this matter is leaked, he, as a personal guard who came out with Zhuang Lishan, will bear the greatest responsibility. At that time, in order to avoid a complete war with the Li family, or to reduce the anger of the Li family, the Zhuang family is likely to use his life as a condition. Therefore, He now hopes that Li Zihan will die more than Zhuang Lishan. We will continue to chase them along their footsteps. No matter how much it costs, we must catch up with them. We must not let Li Zihan return to the Li family alive, Zhuang Lishan ordered solemnly. Yes, hearing this, Liu Zhuang and others responded in unison. This has already concerned the future of all of them, and they have to treat it with the most solemn attitude. Chapter 207 What's the problem? Zhuang Lishan and his group obviously sped up during this chase. They were all filled with worry. After all, now they were 100% sure that Li Zihan was still alive. This made them suffer and torture. At this moment, they had only one thought, which was to catch up and get rid of Li Zihan and the 3 people who were traveling with him. Only in this way could they really feel at ease. Lin Fan and the other 4 naturally did not know about the actions of Zhuang Lishan and others. At this time, they were returning along the road out of the forest. Along the way, Li Zihan's injuries continued to recover under the effect of the mutagenic factor. The effect of the mutagenic factor was not just that short moment, the energy remaining in the body would continue to heal the injury until all the remaining energy was consumed. Therefore, Li Zihan's injuries recovered a lot during the time they were on the road. It looks like your complexion has improved a lot. Lin Fan glanced at Li Zihan and smiled faintly. Li Zihan nodded slightly and said, the mutagenic factor is very effective. If it continues like this, I estimate that in 2 or 3 hours, my injuries will be fully recovered. Don't worry, even if it's not fully recovered now. We will be able to reach the parking place in a while. As long as we get there, we will basically be completely safe. Murong Shan chuckled beside him. The more she said this, the more curious Li Zihan was about the car. Murongzu looked back and said, we are already here. I don't think they will catch up again, it's hard to say. In short, we can't take it lightly. Lin Fan shook his head. While rushing on the road just now, he also carefully inquired about the strength and background of Zhuang Lishan and others. From Li Zihan's description, it can be judged that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others are not vegetarians. They will definitely leave traces on the ground along the way. If Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others follow the traces on the ground to chase, there is no possibility that they will not catch up with them. After all, Li Zihan's injuries have not fully recovered after all, and they cannot reach the peak speed in terms of rushing on the road. At the moment when Lin Fan finished speaking, he suddenly heard a noise coming from behind. He turned around and looked. His expression became more serious. Murongzu, Murong Shan and Li Zihan also heard the noise from behind, and all 3 of them turned around to look. In their sight, 9 figures suddenly appeared. These 9 figures were naturally quite unfamiliar to Lin Fan, Murongzu and Murong Shan, and they had never seen them before. But for Li Zihan, they were so familiar that they couldn't be more familiar. They were Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. When Lin Fan and the other 4 saw Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others also noticed them, and the eyes of both sides just stared at each other across the woods. Li Zihan, you are not dead. Liu Zhuang's eyes showed murderous intent. Although they had previously speculated that Li Zihan was not dead, it was only a speculation after all, and they had not seen it with their own eyes. Now seeing Li Zihan appear in front of him in a living posture, the impact on his mind is still not small. I didn't expect you to be alive after jumping from such a high place. It's beyond my expectation. Zhuang Lishan stared at Li Zihan with a tone of disbelief. Especially at this time, Li Zihan looked almost like a normal person, not injured at all, let alone seriously injured. Zhuang Lishan, I said, I will make you regret it. After Li Zihan reacted, her pretty face was full of coldness. Although she didn't expect Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang to catch up so quickly, as the saying goes, enemies are particularly jealous when they meet. Seeing Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang, she wanted to cut Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang into pieces. Haha, Zihan, don't be so angry, and don't look at me like this. If you want to blame someone, blame you for not listening. If you were obedient, these things wouldn't happen, Zhuang Lishan said with a smile on his face. He was naturally worried because he didn't see Li Zihan before and didn't catch up. After all, if Li Zihan returns to the Li family alive, things will become 10 times more difficult. And now that they have seen Li Zihan and have successfully caught up with him, there is no need to worry about anything. Because they are 100% sure that they can keep Li Zihan here. As for Lin Fan and the other 2, they don't think they can pose any threat. In other words, they don't think that Lin Fan and the other 2 can stop them. It's equivalent to not taking Lin Fan and the other 3 seriously. At this point, Zhuang Lishan cast his eyes on Lin Fan and the other two. He suddenly felt bright in front of his eyes. He didn't expect Murenzhu and Murenshan to be so beautiful. We saw 4 footprints on the ground. I guess it was you 3 who saved Zihan, Zhuang Lishan asked with a faint smile. His appearance at this time can be described in 4 words, that is, smiling with a knife in his heart. Yes, a real smiling with a knife in his heart. He has already thought about it in his mind. Since he has caught up with Li Zihan again, and there is no cliff here for Li Zihan to jump away again. Then, just get rid of Lin Fan, the only man. Li Zihan, Murongsu and Muranshan, 3 beautiful women, it would be a waste to kill them without having some fun. Yes, we rescued them. Do you have any opinions? Lin Fan smiled disdainfully, and did not look at Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others in a good face. From Zhuang Lishan's eyes, he could already see the obscene intention. He didn't need to guess what Zhuang Lishan was thinking. Haha, of course we have no opinions. We have to thank you for saving Zihan, which allowed us to meet you in this place. Otherwise, we would have been able to find Zihan, Zhuang Lishan said with a big laugh. Anyone could tell that his words of thanks were false. Lin Fan obviously didn't care. He sneered and said, I have to say, he is shameless and invincible. As old friends, your 2 families came out to gain experience together, but you became malicious in the middle of the journey and killed your partners. It really opened our eyes. Boy, stop talking nonsense. Let me tell you, you have already caused a big disaster. Liu Zhuang stepped forward and said, however, before you die, if you can answer my questions honestly, it will make your death easier. Oh? What's the question? Lin Fan was a little curious about what question the old guy Liu Zhuang was going to ask. Chapter 208, Fighting and Retreating. What methods did you use to treat Li Zihan's injuries? Liu Zhuang asked with narrowed eyes. This question was not only curious to him, but also to Zhuang Lishan and others. Li Zihan must have been seriously injured after jumping from such a high cliff. Logically speaking, even with the most advanced medical skills, it would take some time to recover from such a serious injury. But the Li Zihan they saw now looked very normal. If they hadn't seen Li Zihan jump off the cliff with their own eyes, they would not believe this fact. After all, Li Zihan looked like nothing had happened. Do I need to tell you what methods I used to treat him? Who do you think you are? Do you want to take advantage of your seniority in front of me? Lin Fan replied bluntly. You? These words made Liu Zhuang's face turn alternately blue and purple, and he was furious. Murenshan couldn't help but chuckle and said, Brother Lin Fan, maybe others are just relying on their own age, and betting that you dare not hit them, and they are just worried that they have no chance to blackmail you. That makes sense. Lin Fan smiled and nodded, saying, some people just deserve to be punished, and you can't judge them by age. Okay. You are very talkative, right? Liu Zhuang was so angry that his body was shaking. He pointed at Lin Fan and said, I hope you can still say it later. Not only can I say it later, I can say it at any time. Lin Fan said disdainfully, old thing, you should worry more about yourself. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you catch up with me. It's not certain who will have the last laugh, little bastard. I must smash your mouth today, Liu Zhuang said angrily. Lin Fan directly called him an old thing, which was an extremely serious insult to him and he couldn't accept it. After all, with his strength and status, he had never been called so disrespectfully in all his years. From his tone, you can fully feel how angry he is now. Old dog, do you think it will be useful if you yell loudly? Lin Fan smiled faintly and said, just now I said you are an old thing, but I found that it is not appropriate. Old dog is more suitable for you. No way. Who told you to like to yell? Angry. Unsuppressed anger. Liu Zhuang clenched his fists tightly, and the blue veins on his arms and forehead could be clearly seen bulging. From old thing to old dog, the insults to him increased again. He swore that he would smash Lin Fan's mouth and cut off Lin Fan's tongue today to let Lin Fan know that he was an existence that could not be insulted. In Li Zihan's eyes, this scene was quite relieved. However, while relieving her anger, she was also filled with worries. Just now, what she was most worried about was that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others would catch up. In that case, they were alone and weak, and it seemed impossible to stop the offensive of Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. The thing she was most worried about finally happened. She was a little confused. She had clearly told Lin Fan about the strength of Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, so why did Lin Fan seem to be not afraid at all? Could it be that Lin Fan had some trump card in his hand? Or, facing the lineup of Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, Lin Fan still had a way to take her out? These two possibilities flashed through her mind. She still felt that it was not very realistic. In any case, they were facing 9 level 2 evolvers. Even if Lin Fan, Murenzhu and Murenshan were all level 2 evolvers, plus her, there were only 4 level 2 evolvers. In terms of quantity, they had already lost to Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. She really couldn't understand why Lin Fan could still confront Liu Zhuang so calmly. There seemed to be no benefit in angering Liu Zhuang, right? In fact, Lin Fan really angered Liu Zhuang on purpose. Although people may burst out with greater power when they are furious, we should not forget that people are more likely to lose their minds when they are furious. After losing their minds, they can't calm down when thinking about things, which will lead to many mistakes. Uncle Liu, don't waste your time talking to him. Once you take him down, you can do whatever you want with him. Zhuang Lishan squinted at Lin Fan, then turned his head to look at Liu Zhuang and said. Hearing Zhuang Lishan's words, Liu Zhuang nodded, his face full of murderous intent, and said, Okay, master, this little bastard must be handed over to me to deal with. I will make him regret coming to this world. He knew that entangled with Lin Fan in words would only make him more angry. It would be better to do as Zhuang Lishan said and take Lin Fan down first. As long as Lin Fan was taken down, he could torture him however he wanted. Do it. Zhuang Lishan waved his hand and decided not to waste any more time. They had suffered the loss of delaying time before, so they naturally dared not delay anymore. If they continued to delay and something new happened, and Li Zihan escaped again, that would be the real suffocation. After receiving Zhuang Lishan's order, the people of the Zhuang family rubbed their hands and approached Lin Fan and the other 4. What should we do now? Seeing Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others taking action, Li Zihan frowned and looked at Lin Fan with her beautiful eyes and asked. Although she had only known Lin Fan for a short time, she felt that Lin Fan was trustworthy and reliable. Especially the communication with Lin Fan along the way made her realize that Lin Fan was a man who could do great things. Staying with such a person, even if you can't see any future now, you can rest assured that you will rise sooner or later. This is why Murenzhu and Murenshan, such excellent sisters, both stay with Lin Fan. Li Zihan's inner thoughts are the same. Hearing Li Zihan's question, Murenzhu and Murenshan also turned their eyes to Lin Fan. Obviously, the two sisters are waiting for Lin Fan's instructions, and they will do whatever Lin Fan tells them to do. Fight and retreat. Lin Fan's eyes fixed, and he said solemnly, in terms of our lineup, we are definitely not as good as them. If we confront them now, it will not be of any benefit to us. We can only adopt the tactic of fighting and retreating, delaying time, and trying to get to the car parked earlier. As long as we get into the car, they will have no way to deal with us. Can that car still withstand the attack of the second-level evolver? Li Zihan asked hurriedly. Yes, there is absolutely no problem. I can give you a 100% guarantee of this. Believe me, I am right. As I said, as long as we can get into the car, they will have no way to deal with us. At that time, the only thing they can do is to watch us leave, and they can't even catch up. Lin Fan pondered. Chapter 209, Conception. Li Zihan was very clear about how powerful the second-level evolvers were. She really couldn't imagine what kind of car could stop the attack of the second-level evolvers. Could it be that Lin Fan and others drove a tank? That shouldn't be the case. If it was a tank, they could just tell her directly. It's not like she couldn't understand what a tank was. However, at this critical moment, there was not much time for her to think. Xiaoxu, you should protect Miss Li and retreat. Xiao Shan, prepare guns and ammunition. Use bullets to slow down their pursuit speed and gradually increase the distance between us and them. Lin Fan didn't explain anything to Li Zihan and quickly gave orders. With their current strength, although they were not completely powerless, Lin Fan felt that there was no need to waste time with them. It seemed that it would be no good to end up in a situation where both sides would suffer losses. If a tug of war was to be launched, using guns would be a very wise choice. Li Zihan's injuries had not yet fully recovered and she was not used to fighting. Murenzhu's marksmanship was definitely not as good as Murenshan, who had the supernatural power of a sharpshooter. Therefore, it is the best arrangement to let Murenzhu pay attention to protecting Li Zihan and retreating quickly. Lin Fan and Murenshan use bullets to slow down the speed of Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, and keep widening the gap between the two sides. Okay, brother Lin Fan, don't worry, I won't let you down, Murenshan promised with a serious face. Lin Fan's arrangement surprised Li Zihan a little. She originally thought that Lin Fan would let Muran Shan protect her and retreat quickly in front, but she didn't expect Lin Fan to directly let Muran Zhu protect her and leave Muran Shan to fight side by side. It's not surprising that she was so surprised. After all, she didn't know that Muran Shan had the ability of a sharpshooter. Let's retreat first. Muran Zhu no longer hesitated, and said to Li Zihan with her beautiful eyes. It's useless for the two of them to stay. Retreating at the fastest speed is helpful to Lin Fan and Muran Shan. Hearing Muran Zhu's reminder, Li Zihan nodded slightly, and then retreated to the rear with Muran Zhu. Xiao Shan, get ready for battle. Lin Fan tilted his head and glanced at Muran Shan. Muran Shan also nodded, reached out to her waist, and took out a pistol. Lin Fan also had a pistol ready at his waist. He took the pistol in his hand and looked at Muran Shan again. Bang! Bang! Muran Shan understood and immediately pulled the trigger. 2 bullets flew out like lightning. The 2 bullets flew straight to Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang. Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang were both level 2 evolvers with good strength. With their own qualities, they could already see the trajectory of the bullets. What surprised them was that they were already very fast. It stands to reason that if ordinary people shot at them, there would be no chance of them getting close to them. But the 2 bullets fired by Muran Shan not only locked onto their bodies, but also seemed to predict the trajectory of their movements. In other words, the 2 bullets hit them separately. Fortunately, they reacted quickly and successfully avoided them. Otherwise, the bullets would definitely hit them. Even if they didn't hit the vital parts, they would still be seriously injured. Bang! Bang! When Muran Shan shot at Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang, Lin Fan was not idle either. He also pulled the trigger and fired 2 bullets in succession. However, Lin Fan did not shoot at Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang, but at other Zhuang family members. The battle was just about to begin. Although Lin Fan did not have the ability of a sharpshooter, his attainments and shooting skills were not necessarily worse than Muran Shan's at present. The moment the 2 bullets were fired, they almost brushed the skin of the 2 Zhuang family members. The heat generated by the bullets passing through the air made their skin hot. What a precise shooting! This thought emerged in the minds of the 2 people. They did not expect that Lin Fan's shooting skills were so precise. In that situation just now, if they were a little slower, they would definitely be hit by the bullets. Bang! Bang! Seeing that the 2 bullets were empty, Lin Fan did not feel disappointed or regretful. No matter what, the other party is a genuine second-level evolver. If it is so easy to hit, then the second-level evolver is too worthless. Little bastard. Don't think that you can stop us with guns in your hands. I tell you, none of you can escape today, especially you. Liu Zhang's face was filled with deep anger. He clenched his fists and said in a low voice, when you fall into my hands, I will cut off your tongue, break your fingers one by one, and then cut your tendons. Let you know what it means to be worse than death. Haha, old dog, I like to see you get so angry. You don't have to talk nonsense here. Wait until you have the ability to take me down first. Oh, no, I should say, wait until you have the ability to bite me first. Who made you an old dog? Lin Fan laughed out loud. From Liu Zhang's words, it can be seen that Liu Zhang was really angry. This is the effect he wanted. The more angry Liu Zhang is, the easier it is to lose his mind. A person who has lost his mind will have more flaws, no matter how powerful he is. If there are too many flaws, it means that all his weaknesses are exposed to the enemy, and he can only be slaughtered by the enemy. Asshole! I must kill you today. Liu Zhang was so angry that his face turned blue. Brother Lin Fan, look at how fierce this old dog is when he is angry. Muran Shan suddenly added a sentence beside him. Moreover, at the moment when the voice fell, she raised her pistol and pulled the trigger continuously. 4 bullets flew out in succession, firing 2 shots at Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang respectively. Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang are now about 100 meters away from her. At this distance, her sharpshooter skills can be best exerted. Bang! 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 Lin Fan also fired 4 shots in a row. 4 bullets flew out, streaking through the air, bringing a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Of course, while shooting, he and Muran Shan were also retreating to the rear. It was good that they had guns, but they didn't have endless bullets, and most of the bullets were stuck in their backpacks. In this case, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang, and others would not give them time to take the bullets out of their backpacks and load them. Therefore, shooting and retreating at the same time was Lin Fan's original purpose. Only in this way could he ensure that he could distance himself from Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others before the bullets in his pistol ran out, so as to completely get rid of them. All of this was already in Lin Fan's mind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210 No Bullets Left. It must be said that the method adopted by Lin Fan had a very good effect. Every bullet they fired caused great interference to Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, forcing Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others to slow down. In this way, the distance between the two sides will undoubtedly gradually widen. Of course, this is also due to the superb level of Lin Fan and Murin Shan's shooting skills. If it weren't for the two of them who were very good at shooting, but someone else was shooting, it would not have such a good effect, and they might even be quickly caught up by Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. Uncle Liu, their shooting skills are too good. If this continues, they will run away. Zhuang Lishan continued to dodge 2 bullets, and his brows frowned deeply. Master, we have no other way now. We can only wait for their bullets to be used up. They have fired so many shots just now. I believe they don't have many bullets left, Liu Zhuang said in a deep voice. He wanted to take down Lin Fan and the other 4 immediately, so that he could avenge the hatred that Lin Fan had just insulted him. But Lin Fan and Murin Shan's shooting skills were a big obstacle for them. No matter how hard they tried to close the distance, they could not achieve their goal. Now we can only wait until they run out of bullets, Zhuang Lishan said helplessly. Chapter 211 Back in the car. Arriving at this place, Lin Fan was already very clear that they were less than 1 kilometer away from the car. With a distance of 1 kilometer, they thought that the gap between them would definitely allow them to reach the parking place before the other party could catch up. Therefore, Lin Fan was not worried at all that they would be intercepted by Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. Just as Lin Fan guessed, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others did not catch up with them at this distance of 1 kilometer. After all, he and Murin Shan were not slow at all. At this moment, Murin Zhu and Li Zihan were sitting in the RV waiting. Their eyes were always looking in the direction of the forest. Li Zihan also knew why Lin Fan and Murin Shan were so confident in this car. After she saw it with her own eyes, she understood that such a modified car really did not need to worry about the destruction of the second-level evolver. Perhaps, it would take a third-level evolver to cause a devastating blow to this RV. Moreover, it was at this time that she realized that the car she saw halfway up the mountain was the car of Lin Fan and his 3 companions. At that time, she thought there were many people in the car, but she didn't expect that there were only Lin Fan and his 3 companions in the car. Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others were only level 2 evolvers, and had not yet entered the level 3 ranks. They were in an absolutely safe state staying in the RV. Should we go over to pick them up? Li Zihan took a breath and asked Murin Zhu with her beautiful eyes. No, I believe Lin Fan will bring Xiao Shan back safely, Murin Zhu said with conviction. Are you confident in Lin Fan? Li Zihan asked again. Yes, Murin Zhu nodded. Although she also had the idea of going back to take a look, she always remembered Lin Fan's instructions. Lin Fan's instructions were to let her take Li Zihan to wait in the car. Now her mission had been completed. If they went back again, it would mean that she had done the mission in vain. She never lacked confidence in Lin Fan. Since Lin Fan made such an arrangement, it meant that Lin Fan was sure to get rid of Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others and bring Murin Shan back here safely. Can I ask a private question? Li Zihan thought for a while and asked curiously. What's the question? Murin Zhu's eyes met Li Zihan's. In fact, in her heart, she had roughly guessed what Li Zihan was going to ask. What is your relationship with Lin Fan? Sure enough. Murin Zhu was not surprised at all by Li Zihan's question. It was the same as she expected. Friends? Murin Zhu answered without hesitation. Just friends? I thought you were lovers. Li Zihan was a little surprised, but she didn't think Murin Zhu was lying. It's not yet a lover. Murin Zhu smiled and shook her head. After this period of precipitation, she believed that she really liked Lin Fan. If Lin Fan wanted to become a lover with her, she would not refuse. However, Lin Fan did not confess to her, so she naturally could not lie and say that she was Lin Fan's girlfriend. It would be too embarrassing for Lin Fan to know about this. It should be soon. Li Zihan's beautiful eyes flickered, and said, I can see that Lin Fan loves you. You can see This time it was Murinzu who was a little surprised. "Yes, I can see it," Li Zihan nodded without hesitation. Murinzu originally wanted to continue chatting with Li Zihan about this issue. But when Li Zihan finished speaking, two figures rushed out from the direction of the forest. "They are coming." Murinzu's tone was filled with joy. Li Zihan tilted his head and saw Lin Fan and Murin Shan as expected. Lin Fan and Murin Shan were running towards the RV at the fastest speed, and soon arrived in front of the car door and got into the car without any delay. "Sister," Murin Shan hurriedly greeted Murinzu. "Are you all okay?" Murinzu asked with concern. "Of course I'm fine," Murin Shan chuckled. "Where are Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang?" Li Zihan asked. "We left them behind by about a kilometer, and they should catch up soon," Lin Fan responded. "Over there, the group of followers are coming," Murin suddenly pointed. Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others also worked hard and burst their speed to catch up with Lin Fan and his four companions as soon as possible. They didn't know that Lin Fan and his four companions had a cart parked here, and they just thought that Lin Fan and Murin Shan would not be able to stop their pursuit after they ran out of bullets. However, when they rushed forward and saw the RV, they all showed a look of astonishment in their eyes. "What a powerful modified car," Liu Zhang said in a surprised tone. Although he was not an expert in this field, he could also see that this modified car was modified to be very powerful. At the first sight, he knew that he could not cause any damage to this modified car with this strength. "Uncle Liu, isn't this the car we saw halfway up the mountain before?" Zhuang Lishan's eyes were almost narrowed into a slit, and memories emerged from the depths of his mind. There was no way. He was indeed very impressed by this modified car. When he was halfway up the mountain, he also stared at it for a long time, but he didn't expect that this car would have such a connection with him. "Yes, this is the one. If you hadn't told me, I would have almost forgotten it," Liu Zhang suddenly realized. Just a second ago, he really didn't remember that they had seen this modified car halfway up the mountain. It was mainly because he was so angry with Lin Fan that he was confused. If it weren't for Lin Fan, he wouldn't have been so calm to think about the problem. "Old dog, your speed doesn't seem to be fast enough. Does our bed still count? If it counts, you can perform eating dog shit now." Lin Fan stood at the door of the car and mocked loudly. Without waiting for Liu Zhang to answer, he added, "However, an old dog like you will definitely not keep his word, and there is no need for you to perform eating dog shit. Wash your neck well, and when we meet next time, I will try how fragile your neck is." Hearing this, Liu Zhang clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. He really couldn't stand Lin Fan's words. What was hateful was that he hadn't been able to take Lin Fan down until now. "Charge! Stop them at all costs, and never let them leave here," Zhuang Lishan waved his hand and quickly ordered. Zhuang Lishan could imagine how domineering such a modified car would be when driving on the road. He knew very well that this was their last chance to stop Lin Fan and his four companions. If they missed even this opportunity, they would definitely not be able to cause any more obstacles to Lin Fan and his four companions. Chapter 212 still ran away. As Zhuang Lishan finished speaking, Liu Zhang and the others once again accelerated to their maximum speed, surrounding the RV at the fastest speed. Now Lin Fan and the other four were in the RV. As long as they stopped the RV and prevented it from leaving, Lin Fan and the other four would be trapped. This was their only way. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Seeing Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and the others rushing over, Lin Fan smiled faintly. There was no need to worry about anything. In this RV, even if Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and the others were holding guns, they would not pose any threat. Then, Lin Fan's eyes flashed. He closed the door and sat back in the driver's seat. "Brother Lin Fan, aren't you driving?" Seeing Lin Fan sitting in the seat without starting the car, Murin Shan couldn't help but ask curiously. "Don't worry, they have chased us so far and for so long, and finally got here. Let them enjoy the fruits of their labor, otherwise we will go too far." Lin Fan grinned and said, "It's a good opportunity to let them help check how sturdy this RV is." "Brother Lin Fan, you are too mean, deliberately stopping here to waste their energy." Murin Shan chuckled and naturally understood what Lin Fan meant. It was obvious that Lin Fan wanted Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others to experience something difficult and unpleasant. Murinzu and Li Zihan also had smiles on their faces. Anyway, they were in the RV now, and they couldn't be safer. "Attack with all your strength." After Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others rushed forward, the former's eyes were filled with murderous intent. and he said, "I don't believe this car could withstand the attack of so many of us. Attack as you like, use all your strength, don't be polite to me, and don't be polite to my car, don't say I didn't give you a chance." Lin Fan sat in the driver's seat and said slowly, 10 minutes, let you attack for 10 minutes, after 10 minutes, we say goodbye. Muran Zhu, Muran Shan and Li Zihan were once again amused by Lin Fan's words. Li Zihan couldn't help but look at Lin Fan twice more, and she had a completely new understanding of Lin Fan in her heart. At first, she thought Lin Fan was brave and resourceful, but now, in addition to being brave and resourceful, he was also evaluated as a humorous person. Don't underestimate the advantage of humor, which is completely fatal to many women. Bang! 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 Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others continued to attack the RV, and the noise spread. As the noise spread, Lin Fan and the other 4 people sitting in the car listened more happily. There was no way. The RV was modified to be too hard. No matter how hard Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others attacked, they could not cause any damage to the RV. "Master, this RV is too strong, we can't open it," Liu Zhuang said in a low voice with a gloomy face. He couldn't let Lin Fan hear his words, otherwise, Lin Fan might laugh at him again. After experiencing it personally, how could Zhuang Lishan not know the firmness of the RV? But he didn't want to give up. Because once he gave up, Lin Fan and the other 4 would drive away from here, and then they would send Li Zihan back to the Li family. And Li Zihan's return to the Li family means that the Li family will know what they have done, and things will undoubtedly get out of control. In that case, he couldn't think of any better result between the 2 families except going to war. No matter what. Attack hard. "We must break this car," Zhuang Lishan shouted with bloodshot eyes. He looked like he was possessed and was determined to break the RV. Hearing this, Liu Zhuang and others could only continue to attack the RV. The bang-bang sound never stopped from the beginning to now. However, no matter how they attacked the RV, they still could not cause any damage to it. This was tantamount to another kind of despair for them. Lin Fan and the other 4 people sitting in the car watched Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others attack the RV so hard, and the smiles on their faces never stopped from the beginning. 10 minutes later, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others continued to attack the RV. Lin Fan looked at Liu Zhuang and said, "Old dog, don't waste your energy. If you can destroy this RV, I won't stop here to let you play. I gave you 10 minutes, but you still can't seize the opportunity. In this case, don't blame me for being ruthless." Boom. The moment the words fell, Lin Fan started the car, stepped on the accelerator, and the engine roared. Hearing this sound, Zhuang Lishan's heart seemed to be rubbed hard by a big hand, and there was always a feeling that he was about to lose the most precious thing. Lin Fan didn't care what Zhuang Lishan was thinking. After the car started, he didn't delay at all and directly hit 2 of the Zhuang family. Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang were the strongest in the group, and they were also the fastest and had the fastest reactions. Although there was a chance of hitting them at such a close distance, there was a greater chance of being avoided. Therefore, Lin Fan did not choose Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang as the target of the collision, but chose the other 2. These 2 people were in the category of those who had just entered the 2nd level of evolution, and the RV accelerated very quickly. With this collision, they were indeed knocked out. "Asshole," Zhuang Lishan cursed, not expecting Lin Fan to suddenly drive a car to hit them. "Little bastard. You will pay the price." Liu Zhuang's face was extremely gloomy. However, they cursed, but they did not dare to be careless, because Lin Fan dared to drive his car to hit other people, so he would naturally dare to drive his car to hit them. So, while cursing, their bodies were also retreating to the back. The place where they parked was already adjacent to the forest. There were many trees in the forest. They retreated into the forest, and Lin Fan could not drive into the forest to hit them. The 2 people who were knocked out did not suffer any particularly serious injuries because the impact force was not very strong due to the close distance. Seeing that Lin Fan was about to drive towards them again, the 2 gritted their teeth, endured the pain and quickly got up from the ground, and ran into the forest as well. "Old dog, goodbye. When we meet next time, I will personally deal with you. Remember, keep your dog life for me." Lin Fan's eyes fell on Liu Zhuang and said lightly. Then he turned the car around, without any delay, stepped on the accelerator, the car speed soared, and drove away from this area, leaving only the back of the car for Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others to watch. Damn it! They still got away. Zhuang Lishan clenched his fists tightly, unable to express how angry he was. Chapter 213 Another possibility. Master, this is not the time to be angry. We must find a car to chase them. Liu Zhuang is always an old man, knowing what to do and what not to do, and quickly gave advice. Yes. Hurry up and find a car. Whether we can catch up or not, we must try. Zhuang Lishan restrained his emotions and nodded. This matter is too important for them. Even if they can't catch up with Lin Fan and the other four, they must return to the Zhuang family as quickly as possible. After all, the incident has already happened, and the anger of the Li family must be endured. Return to the Zhuang family in advance to explain the matter clearly, so that the Zhuang family can be fully prepared. Although they will be severely punished if they explain it clearly, in order to avoid making things worse, they have to explain it honestly. Otherwise, when the Li family suddenly attacks, the Zhuang family will suffer greater losses if they are not fully prepared. Thinking of this, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang, and others did not delay and ran towards the direction of the highway with the wounded. Fortunately, this place is not too far from the highway. They soon found a car, got in the car, and drove along the highway without saying a word. An hour later, Zhuang Lishan frowned and said, Uncle Liu, there are many forks in the road behind, and we have no idea which road they are taking. What should we do now? Liu Zhuang also frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, Master, I'm afraid we have to give up the idea of chasing them. Huh? A puzzled look appeared on Zhuang Lishan's face. Not chasing them anymore. The speed of their modified car is probably much faster than a normal car. Even if we know which road they are taking, we may not be able to catch up with them, not to mention that we don't know which road they are taking now. If we chase them blindly, there will be no end at all. Liu Zhuang's face became much more solemn, and he said, we have to return to the family as soon as possible. No matter what, this trouble has been caused, and the family must know it clearly, so that they can think of a way to deal with it. Perhaps, after the family knows that the Li family will inevitably go to war, it may be possible to strike first. Hearing what Liu Zhuang said, Zhuang Lishan also reacted, and nodded as if he had suddenly realized something. Yes. Uncle Liu. You are right. If our Zhuang family and the Li family have to go to war, then if we can strike first, we can also occupy a certain advantage. Well, so we have to return to the family quickly now, tell the family everything, and let the head of the family decide what to do. Liu Zhuang pondered. Okay, then don't chase them. Returning to the family is important. Zhuang Lishan made a decision immediately. With this decision, they did not chase Lin Fan and the other four, and found the right lane and returned to the Zhuang family. Lin Fan and the other four did not know what Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhuang and the others were doing. At this time, they were driving on the way to Zhonghe province. Li Zihong's family is in the capital of Zhonghe province. Looking at the entire capital, it is also one of the largest families. Whether before or after the doomsday, the overall strength is quite strong. This is why Li Zihong dared to promise to give Lin Fan and the other 10 bottles of mutagenic factors as a reward. After all, such a large family has many things in reserve. Lin Fan. Take the road on the left ahead, it's much closer. Li Zihong glanced ahead, then turned his head to look at Lin Fan and said. Okay. Lin Fan nodded. He had never been here before, and he had no navigation to guide him. He could only rely on Li Zihong. Sister Zihong, if your family went to war with Zhuang Lishan's family, what are the chances of winning? Murin Shan was bored and a little curious about this question. Her personality was easy to get along with, and after chatting with Li Zihong just now, the two had become familiar with each other. Hearing Murin Shan's question, Li Zihong shook his head and said, it's hard to say. Zhuang Lishan's family is also very powerful as a whole, and the head of the Zhuang family has also reached the level of a third-level evolver. It's really hard to judge who will win if our two families go to war. Third-level evolver? Also, Murin Shan opened her mouth in surprise. She didn't expect that there was a third-level evolver in Zhuang Lishan's family. Moreover, Li Zihong used the word also to express it, which means that there is also a third-level evolver in Li Zihong's family. Murin Zhu was also a little surprised. Only Lin Fan was relatively calm. It's not strange for two such large families to have a third-level evolver after the doomsday for several months. Of course, this is because he experienced the doomsday once and was reborn, which made him accept everything in his mind. There is a level 3 evolver in our family and Zhuang Lishan's family, and the rest are level 2 evolvers and level 1 evolvers. Li Zihong thought for a moment and said, although I don't know exactly how many level 1 evolvers and level 2 evolvers there are in Zhuang Lishan's family, I think it should be about the same as my family, so, if our two families really go to war, both sides will suffer losses, but what Zhuang Lishan and his people did is really too much. If my family doesn't take action, it will only encourage their arrogance. Hearing this, Murenzhu nodded and said, it's really too much? The most important thing is that they killed people from your family. They are innocent, but they were affected and sacrificed their lives. If such a thing spreads, if your family doesn't seek justice for them, it will be difficult for other people to want to join your family in the future. Yes, that's what I mean. Li Zihan agreed with Murenzhu's statement. Such a large family will not only rely on the people within the family to grow and develop, but also rely on outsiders to join. After all, this is the same as developing power. If a force wants to grow and develop, it must have the continuous influx of fresh blood. The older generation will eventually grow old, and only when fresh blood grows up can the force continue to develop. The heads of the Zhuang family and the Li family are very clear about this, so their two families are constantly looking for more outstanding people to join. Sister Zihan, do you think there is another possibility? Murenshan blinked. What possibility? Li Zihan looked at Murenshan with her beautiful eyes. Murenzhu also shifted her gaze to Murenshan. Murenshan said, Zhuang Lishan and the others can't catch up with us, so they must know that you will return to the Li family. At that time, the Li family will know everything. In this way, in order to avoid a complete war between the two families, will the Zhuang family propose negotiation conditions, such as giving your Li family a generous reward, or handing over Zhuang Lishan, Li Uzhuang and others to your Li family for disposal? Chapter 214 Lin Fan's speculation. Hearing the possibility mentioned by Murenshan, Murenzhu's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly and said, yes, if your two families go to war, the impact and damage will be great, which is not a good thing for your family. What if the banker also thinks so? Maybe they will make the decision, Zhao Shan said. After all, in this way, the damage to the banker will also be reduced accordingly. Of course, in this case, it depends on whether your Li family agrees with the banker's method. If not, the battle between your two families is still inevitable. After Murenzhu finished speaking, Li Zihan shook his head and said, there is no such possibility. As long as I return to the Li family alive, our Li family and the banker family will definitely go to war. Why? Murenzhu and Murenshan asked in unison. Because Lin Fan was driving, although he did not look at Li Zihan, he was always listening to the conversation between the three women. Li Zihan paused and said, first of all, Zhuang Lishan is a talent that the Zhuang family has spent a lot of effort to cultivate. He is a candidate for the future head of the Zhuang family, no doubt about it. In other words, Zhuang Lishan will inevitably become the head of the Zhuang family in the future. Under such a premise, the Zhuang family will never hand over Zhuang Lishan to be disposed of by our Li family. Secondly, the Zhuang family has always been more domineering in their style of doing things. They would rather go to war than apologize, which would make them feel very embarrassed. Finally, they will bet that our Li family is not as strong as their Zhuang family in overall strength. Even if the two families fight to the point of both suffering losses, if they are the winner in the end, it may not be a bad thing in the long run. Li Zihan's analysis makes sense. This is the conclusion she drew from her years of understanding of the Zhuang family. Murenzhu frowned slightly and said, so, a war between your two families is inevitable? Yes, Li Zihan nodded and said, unless I don't say anything about this, there is absolutely no other possibility. How can you not say it? Murenshan clenched her hands and said, the people from the Zhuang family have done such an excessive thing. If we don't even say something like this, it will encourage their arrogance. By then, they might think that your Li family is afraid of them. That's why I said that a war between our Li family and the Zhuang family is an inevitable result. No matter which side wins and gains the advantage, this war is inevitable. A hint of cruelty appeared on Li Zihan's pretty face. Sister Zihan, I support you and your family. If you need help at that time. At this point, Murenshan seemed to have thought of something, and quickly looked at Lin Fan who was driving, and chuckled. However, this is up to Brother Lin Fan to decide. If Brother Lin Fan helps, we will definitely help. Lin Fan did not express this position, and they just met Li Zihan. Although they sympathized with Li Zihan's experience, this ultimately involved a conflict between two big families, and it seemed that there was no benefit for the three of them to get involved. Murenzhu knew that Murenshan had good intentions, but she couldn't express her good intentions like this. Fortunately, she shifted the focus to Lin Fan at the last moment. Li Zihan was a person who could see things clearly. Lin Fan did not express his position immediately, and she could already guess what Lin Fan was thinking, which was understandable. After all, they were just casual acquaintances, and Lin Fan and the other two were able to save her life and send her back to the Li family, which was already the most benevolent and righteous thing they could do. Without the help of Lin Fan and the other two, she would not have survived until now. How could she expect Lin Fan and the other two to participate in the battle between the Li family and the Zhuang family? Even if she gave Lin Fan and the other two a reward, the risk was too great. Xiao Shan, thank you for your kindness. This is a war between our Li family and the Zhuang family. It's better for you not to get involved, Li Zihan said hurriedly after thinking it through. Lin Fan was very satisfied with Li Zihan's reaction and attitude. He smiled and said, "We'll see when the time comes. If you really need help and we don't have anything else to do, we can help you." Those who can listen naturally understand what these words mean, and those who can't listen don't need to explain too much. Lin Fan believes that Li Zihan is an understanding person. Not long after, Lin Fan and the other four drove into the scope of Zhonghe province. The capital of Zhonghe province is on the edge, just near the direction of the mountains. Sister Zihan, how far is it from here to your home? Muran Shen asked. At our current speed, we can arrive in 3 hours at most, Li Zihan said. 3 hours? That's not too far, Muran Shen nodded. Lin Fan, you've been driving for so long, do you want to take a break first? Muranzu's eyes fell on Lin Fan and said, we have been rushing all the time. At our speed, Zhuang Lishan and the others should be far behind us. They won't catch up with us in a short time, right? It's not that they won't catch up with us, but they have given up chasing us, Lin Fan said with a smile. Give up, Lin Fan's words shocked Muranzu, Muran Shan and Li Zihan. Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, logically speaking, the last thing they want to see is Li Zihan returning to the Li family. They will definitely chase after him desperately. How could they give up? Lin Fan explained, when they first started chasing us, they found that their speed was no match for ours. No matter how hard they chased, they could not catch up. What's more, there were many forks in the road behind us, and they had already been left behind by us to the point where they couldn't even see our shadows. In that situation, it would be too blind to continue chasing us. It would be a pure waste of time. As long as they are not fools, they would know what choice to make. In this way, after weighing the pros and cons, they will give up chasing us and return to the banker immediately, because they know that Li Zihan will tell the whole story when he returns to the Li family, and then the Li family will definitely launch an attack on their banker. They want to return to the banker immediately, and they also want to tell the banker's people about the matter, so that the banker can prepare to deal with it in advance, so as to minimize the losses and avoid being caught off guard by the Li family. After listening to Lin Fan's analysis, Muranzu, Muran Shan and Li Zihan all understood with sudden enlightenment. Lin Fan is right. After weighing the pros and cons, they will definitely not continue to chase us. After all, they can't catch up with us. Chasing us is a pure waste of time, Li Zihan thought for a while and said, however, their speed is much slower than ours. We should return to the family before them, and they will still be a little behind us. Chapter 215, Mutation. That's for sure. Our car is so fast, how could they be faster than us? If we were faster, they would have caught up with us, Muran Shan said with a smile. She had no doubts about the speed of this RV and Lin Fan's driving skills. Let's go to the front to rest first, and then set off after we have rested well, Lin Fan smiled faintly. After driving for such a long time, he also wanted to stop to use the toilet and rest for a while. After driving the car over and parking it, Lin Fan stood up from the driver's seat and walked towards the bathroom behind the RV, saying as he walked, Xiao Shan, bring out some food. Brother Lin Fan, are you going to the toilet to eat? Muran Shan saw Lin Fan going to the toilet and couldn't help but said jokingly. Not impossible, Lin Fan responded jokingly. This made Muranzu, Muran Shan and Li Zihan laugh. When Lin Fan came out of the toilet, Muran Shan also took out a lot of food from her backpack, and the four of them sat in their seats and started eating. After finishing his meal, Lin Fan stood up and walked towards the cab. He was about to drive to the Li family, but his eyes suddenly focused and he noticed a scene outside the car window. To be precise, it was a dog running on all fours. Moreover, it was a German Shepherd breed dog. Lin Fan, what are you looking at? Muranzu asked in confusion when she saw Lin Fan staring at the outside. Come and see. Lin Fan did not turn around, but waved his hand at them. Murinzu, Murinshan and Li Zihun immediately stepped forward and looked in the direction of Lin Fan's sight, and naturally saw the German Shepherd. I didn't expect that there are still dogs like this alive now. It's really not easy, Li Zihun said with some emotion. After so many months of the doomsday, it is rare for such poultry animals to survive normally. She was indeed very surprised by this. No. Brother Lin Fan, why do I feel that we have seen this dog before? Murinshan's tone was full of strangeness. Yes, I have seen it before, and it seems that we have extracted mutagenic factors from it, Murinzu also said. Yes. I was wondering why it looked so familiar, Murinshan nodded repeatedly. Then it seems that I was right. This German Shepherd is indeed the one we extracted the mutagenic factor from before. Lin Fan's eyes flashed. When he saw it just now, he was actually a little unsure, but now that he heard Murinzu and Murinshan say so, he dared to be 100% sure that this German Shepherd was the one they had encountered. This is too coincidental. It actually ran to such a far place, and just happened to meet us here. It's incredible, Murinshan exclaimed. Could it be that it has been following us secretly? Murinzu made a bold guess. Sister, how is it possible? It's not our pet, how could it know to follow us? And it's following us secretly, which is even more impossible, Murinshan said. She felt that Murinzu's speculation was too weird. After all, it was just a German Shepherd. Even if it evolved, it couldn't have evolved to such a high IQ. Hearing Murinshan say this, Murinzu also felt that her previous guess was too unexpected. While the two sisters were talking, Lin Fan kept his eyes on the German Shepherd, and then used the ring to read the data of the German Shepherd. Species, German Shepherd level 2 strength, 8 speed, 9 reaction, 9 superpower. Acquiring when the data information of the German Shepherd appeared in his sight, Lin Fan couldn't help but show a touch of surprise in his eyes. If he remembered correctly, when he saw this German Shepherd before, it just crossed the threshold of level 1. Unexpectedly, the speed of evolution of this German Shepherd was so fast that it reached level 2 in a blink of an eye, and even its speed and reaction reached 9. The most important thing is that its superpower is still in the state of acquisition. I originally thought that only human evolutionists could acquire superpowers, but I didn't expect that animal evolutionists also have a chance to acquire superpowers. This is really an unexpected discovery, Lin Fan sighed in his heart. However, he also couldn't figure out why this German Shepherd came to this place. Did it follow them here, or did they meet here by coincidence? If it was purely coincidental, it only means that they had a good fate with this German Shepherd. They had crossed provinces and still met each other. It would be hard to explain if it was not a good fate. But if it followed them, it is really worth pondering. It stands to reason that the intelligence of these level 1 and level 2 animals should be much higher than that of ordinary animals, but not to this extent. Moreover, as Murinshan said, this German Shepherd is not a pet dog, so what is the reason for following them? Wait, I don't seem to understand what you said. You mean that this German Shepherd was seen in another province, and then after a period of time, it was met again here? Li Zihun asked in a daze. Is that what you mean? Or did I misunderstand? Sister Zihun, you didn't misunderstand. That's what I mean. This German Shepherd was met in our province. Now it has been about 2 or 3 months. We didn't expect to meet it again in Zhonghai province, and we have extracted mutagenic factors from it, Murinshan continued. Isn't this too coincidental? How could such a coincidence happen? Li Zihun was surprised. He didn't expect that such a coincidence could happen to Lin Fan and the other two. Yeah, I think it's a coincidence too, Murinshan nodded. As she spoke, Murinshan turned her eyes to Lin Fan and said, by the way, brother Lin Fan, should we go find it again? Not that easy. Lin Fan shook his head. Ah. What do you mean by not that easy? Murinshan continued to ask. This German Shepherd has now evolved to level 2, and it seems that its various data are not necessarily worse than ours, Lin Fan said with a faint smile. What? Evolved to level 2? This is evolving too fast. It feels faster than us. Murinshan's pretty face was full of surprise. Murinzu was also very surprised. She didn't expect that a dog could evolve so fast. Just like Murinshan said, it evolved faster than them. Could this dog have mutated? Li Zihun said. Mutated? Lin Fan and the other two turned their eyes to Li Zihun. Yes, evolving species may also mutate, Li Zihun explained. After a mutation, there will be obvious changes in intelligence. So, If you didn't meet it by coincidence, but it followed you, plus it evolved so quickly, I think it is very likely that it has mutated. Chapter 216, Goodwill. Mutation. Lin Fan's eyes narrowed, and he said, I haven't heard of such a statement before, but after Miss Lee said so, I think it should be correct. Otherwise, it would be too strange to explain such a thing as coincidence. Brother Lin Fan, this German Shepherd has mutated and has such a high IQ, why does it follow us? Is it because it hates us for extracting the mutagenic factor from it and wants to seek revenge on us? Murenshan frowned slightly, her face full of confusion. It's not ruled out. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes and said, we took the mutagenic factor from it, so it's normal for it to hate us, then should we get rid of it now, so that it won't cause us trouble in the future? After all, its evolution speed is not slow at all, and it may surpass us, Murenzhu suggested. Lin Fan did not answer Murenzhu's question immediately, but calmed down to think. However, before he finished thinking, Li Zihan added beside him, although the possibility Xiao Shan said cannot be ruled out, I think another possibility is greater. Oh? Which possibility? Lin Fan looked at Li Zihan. Murenzhu and Murenshan also turned their attention to Li Zihan. That means this German Shepherd wants to integrate into your team, Li Zihan said. Integrate into our team? Murenzhu was slightly surprised. Sister Zihan, this is unlikely, right? We have extracted its mutagenic factor. It would be fine if it doesn't hate us to death, but why would it want to integrate into our team? Murenshan shook her head and said. It's true that you extracted its mutagenic factor, but after extracting it, you did not kill it. Instead, you let it go. Otherwise, it would not be alive until now, Li Zihan explained again. Dogs themselves have spirituality. What's more, it is no longer an ordinary dog, but an evolved and mutated dog. It is particularly spiritual. You spared its life, and it wanted to integrate into your team and repay your kindness. There is nothing unreasonable about this. After listening to Li Zihan's words, Lin Fan nodded suddenly and said, Miss Li, what you said makes sense. We did not kill it, but let it go. Besides, if it wanted to take revenge, it had many opportunities some time ago, but it did not do so. If this is the case, wouldn't we have a very strong helper? Murenshan's pretty face was full of surprise, and said, this helper can also play many unexpected effects when dealing with the enemy. Yes, Lin Fan nodded again. Brother Lin Fan, let's not waste time, let's catch up with it. See if it is really willing to join our team. We can't miss such a strong helper. Murenshan looked very excited. She usually likes dogs, but before the outbreak of the doomsday, because she was studying, her family did not let her keep a dog, which led to her love for dogs always in her heart. This time, she finally got to see such an excellent German Shepherd. She didn't want to miss it at all, and she wished that the German Shepherd would join their team now. Okay, I'll go over and try, you wait for me in the car. Lin Fan thought about it and decided to give it a try. Anyway, there would be no loss in trying, it would just be a delay. Thinking of this, he tilted his head to look at Li Zihan and said, it should be no problem in less than 10 minutes, right? The mission this time was to escort Li Zihan back to the Li family. In these aspects, they still had to respect Li Zihan, at least ask Li Zihan's opinion. No problem. Li Zihan shook her head. They were already here, and she didn't worry that Zhuang Lishan, Li Uzhuang and others would catch up. Okay, I'll be back soon, Lin Fan nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, he stood up and was about to open the door to go out. At this time, Murenshan hurriedly shouted, Brother Lin Fan, don't you plan to drive there? Driving to chase it? Lin Fan smiled helplessly. It's impossible to catch up. It's so flexible and so fast. It won't keep running on the main road waiting for us. Driving will make it more likely that we won't catch up. Xiao Shan, Lin Fan is right. We drive over there. The target is so big. It doesn't matter if it keeps running on the main road. But if it is not on the main road and runs into those alleys, the car can't drive in. Let Lin Fan go and take a look. Murenzhu looked at Murenshan and said. Okay, Murenshan nodded helplessly. I'll go first, you wait for me in the car, Lin Fan said again, and then without further delay, he opened the car door and walked out. Murenzhu, Murenshan and Li Zihan watched Lin Fan run quickly in the car. The German Shepherd was walking on the road. It was very agile, fast, and responsive. Most importantly, its hearing was still extraordinary. After running for more than 100 meters, it suddenly heard a noise coming from behind. It quickly stopped moving and looked back. It saw Lin Fan running towards it. A gleam of light seemed to flash in its eyes, as if it were alive. Lin Fan took a deep breath and looked at the German Shepherd. Lin Fan did not continue to walk, but stopped to observe the reaction of the German Shepherd. If the German Shepherd showed signs of leaving quickly, it would mean that Li Zihong's guess was wrong and the German Shepherd did not want to join their team. If the German Shepherd was not prepared to leave quickly and did not have hostility towards him, then it would mean that Li Zihong's guess was very likely. Through observation, Lin Fan carefully noticed that there was no hostility in the German Shepherd's eyes, and it looked like he was looking at a friend. Yes, it was the look of a friend. "I won't hurt you, don't misunderstand," Lin Fan smiled and greeted. This German Shepherd has evolved and mutated, and its IQ is very high. Although it can't speak, Lin Fan guessed that it should be able to understand what he is saying. In other words, it can understand what Lin Fan wants to express. Sure enough, after Lin Fan said this, the German Shepherd not only did not move to leave, but sat on the ground, sitting upright, and still looking at Lin Fan. Seeing the German Shepherd's actions, Lin Fan couldn't hide his smile in his eyes. He didn't need to guess that this was the German Shepherd showing goodwill to him. Thinking of this, Lin Fan didn't delay anymore and immediately walked towards the German Shepherd. As he walked over, the German Shepherd still didn't move, still sitting on the ground and looking at him, and his eyes became a little gentler, as if he regarded him as his master. This made Lin Fan feel overjoyed. Maybe he could really keep this German Shepherd as a pet? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217 Andy. When Lin Fan walked in front of the German Shepherd, he squatted down with a smile on his face, stretched out his hand to the German Shepherd, and said, "Shake hands." The German Shepherd obviously understood what he meant, raised one of its feet, and shook his hand. After shaking hands for about 10 seconds, Lin Fan withdrew his hand and stretched out his hand to the German Shepherd's head. The handshake just now was actually a test of the German Shepherd to see what the German Shepherd's reaction would be. If the German Shepherd didn't want to shake hands, then he wouldn't stretch out his hand to touch the German Shepherd's head. But since the German Shepherd shook hands with him, it meant that the German Shepherd was very friendly to him. As expected, after the hand was placed on the German Shepherd's head, the German Shepherd did not resist at all and let Lin Fan's hand touch its head. "Do you want to join our team? Stay with us every day?" Lin Fan asked with a smile. The German Shepherd was still able to understand what Lin Fan meant. When he heard Lin Fan ask this, he nodded his head, indicating that he agreed to join Lin Fan's team. With the German Shepherd's consent, Lin Fan was naturally even happier. He waved his hand and said, "Let's go back to the car and take you to meet some other friends." As soon as Lin Fan finished speaking, the German Shepherd stood up from the ground, wagged its tail, and then followed Lin Fan and walked towards the direction of the car. In the car, Murongsu, Murongshan and Li Zihan had been looking in the direction of Lin Fan and the German Shepherd. When the three of them saw Lin Fan walking back with the German Shepherd, a look of surprise appeared on their faces. Murangshan's performance was the most obvious. She almost screamed and said, "Brother Lin Fan really brought the German Shepherd back." Murongsu nodded gently and said, "It seems that the German Shepherd really wants to join our team. Well, it should be." Li Zihan also nodded, and then added, "However, this can also show that your team's strength, or potential, is very good. Even the dog that has undergone mutation and evolution wants to become one of you. This can explain the problem from the side." Murangshan smiled and said, "Sister Zihan, after your family solves this crisis, you can just go out with us to gain experience, so that we can continue to stay together." Hearing Murangshan say this, Li Zihan didn't think about it and agreed directly, "Okay, it's boring to stay at home all the time. I really want to go out and gain experience." She was telling the truth. After the doomsday, she rarely left the family because the family was worried that something would happen to her and that she would be in danger outside, so they protected her very well. This time, if it weren't for trusting Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others, the Li family would not let her go out with Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others to gain experience. However, through this incident, seeing through the intentions of the Zhuang family is not a bad thing in the long run. Otherwise, when the Li family and the Zhuang family start a deeper cooperation in the future, if they are fooled by the Zhuang family again, the loss may be even more serious. Of course, the most important thing is that she found that getting along with Lin Fan, Murenzhu and Murenshan was very easy and pleasant, and this feeling was what she had always wanted. Lin Fan and the other two had never met her before, and they all helped her, so she obviously didn't have to worry about being hurt when she went out to experience with Lin Fan and the other two. Welcome, welcome, we go out to experience together, and we can take care of each other, Murenzhu expressed her attitude. But, it depends on whether Lin Fan is willing to let me experience with you, right? Li Zihan asked. Sister Zihan, brother Lin Fan is a very good person, how could he not be willing? Don't worry, I dare to promise you that brother Lin Fan will definitely agree, Murenshan patted her chest and promised. Murenshan knew Lin Fan's personality to some extent, and through their contact, she found that Li Zihan had no other problems and was the kind of person who was easy to get along with. People who were easy to get along with naturally wouldn't have any conflicts with Lin Fan. While they were talking, Lin Fan had already brought the German Shepherd back to the front of the car. Then he opened the door and got back into the car. Brother Lin Fan, you are so awesome. You really brought it back, Murenshan gave Lin Fan a thumbs up. Although Murenzhu didn't say anything to praise him, her eyes showed her deep admiration. Lin Fan's eyes fixed and he said, come on, let me introduce our new member to everyone. At this point, Lin Fan suddenly paused. It seems that I have to give you a name first. From now on, I'll call you Andy. Andy, Murenzhu, Murenshan and Li Zihan were all stunned. Lin Fan nodded, looked at the German Shepherd and said, Andy is the protagonist of the movie Shawshank Redemption. He is a character I particularly like. It tells us that no matter what time it is, no matter what difficulties we encounter, no matter how long time has passed, we must be full of hope for life and persevere. There will be a day when the clouds will clear and the moon will shine. The German Shepherd had no objection to the name Lin Fan thought of, and nodded its head. Brother Lin Fan, it nodded, which means it quite agrees with the name you thought of, Murenshan said happily. The character of Andy is indeed very well portrayed, and the movie Shawshank Redemption is also very successful. I think it's not bad to call it Andy. After all, we are now in the doomsday world. We should be like Andy in the movie. No matter what time it is, we must be full of hope for life and not give up on ourselves, Murenzhu said. Yeah, that's right, Li Zihan nodded. Andy, then we will be good friends from now on. Murenshan squatted down and quickly stretched out her little hand to touch Andy's head. Andy seemed to have truly integrated into this group, and did not resist Murenshan's behavior of reaching out to touch his head. After Murenshan greeted Andy, Murenzhu and Li Zihan also greeted Andy one after another, and their way of doing so was to touch Andy's head. Girls are naturally irresistible to these furry things. Although Andy is a tall and mighty German Shepherd, he does not look scary at all, but gives people a kind of approachable feeling. Of course, it is also possible that he put away his fierce aura in front of Lin Fan and others, and deliberately showed his approachability. In front of other people, it might be a different scene. Okay, now Andy has joined our team, and we have almost rested. It's time to leave here, Lin Fan said with a smile. Then, he sat back in the driver's seat, started the car. And without wasting any more time, he continued to set off and rush towards Li's house. Murenshan pulled Andy to play around in the car and loved Andy very much. Chapter 218 Finally back. Li family. As a big family in Zhonghe province, the Li family can be said to be quite powerful. Previously, the Li family was located in a villa of several thousand square meters, but after the doomsday, the Li family went to another place to build a manor. This manor, called Li Family Mansion, covers an area of 20,000 square meters. At this time, in the Li family study, an old man in a Shuangshan suit sat in front of the desk. Judging from his appearance, the old man is only about 50 years old, but his actual age has reached his early 60s. The old man is Li Xianun, the current head of the Li family, and the only third-level evolver in the Li family. He's extremely powerful and can fight against more than 10 second-level evolvers alone. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Come in, Li Xianun said. Hearing Li Xianun's voice, the door opened and a man walked in. The man was wearing a gray suit and looked about 40 years old. From the appearance, he was somewhat similar to Li Xianun. This man was Li Xianun's son Li Changjin, who was also Li Zihong's father. Dad, are you reading? Li Changjin asked as he walked into the room. Li Xianun looked up at Li Changjin, smiled and nodded, and said, I have nothing to do, so I read a book to kill time. It's just right that you are here. Come, play a game of chess with me, okay? Li Shangjin nodded slightly. The doomsday broke out, and there were no other entertainment equipment. Playing chess was already a very good way to entertain. The most important thing was that before the doomsday broke out, Li Xianyu loved playing chess, which was one of his hobbies in life. The two came to the chessboard and sat opposite each other. After setting up the chess pieces, they started to play. After a while, Li Xianyu ate a horse and a cannon on Li Changjin's side. After a while, Li Xianyu said, "Checkmate, Dad, your chess skills are still so good. I can't beat you after all." Li Changjin smiled helplessly. Li Xianyu looked at Li Changjin and said, "Changjin, you were a little absent-minded when playing chess today. Is there something wrong?" "I'm worried about Xiaohan," Li Changjin sighed. Li Zihan is his only daughter. He is really worried that she has not come back after being out for so long. Li Xianyu put down the chess pieces in his hand and said, "Xiaohan and Zhuang Lishan are out for training. There shouldn't be any big problems. Besides, there is Liu Zhuang with the Zhuang family. Liu Zhuang will definitely not let them take risks during the training." Li Shangjin took a deep breath and said, "Although Liu Zhuang is with them, my right eyelid has been twitching these days. I always have a bad feeling in my heart. I don't know if I am too worried." "You must be too worried." Li Xianyu reached out and patted Li Changjin on the shoulder, comforting him. "Xiaohan will come back safely. Don't worry. Wait for 3 more days. If she hasn't come back after 3 days, we will arrange someone from the Li family to go out and check." "Well, that's the only way." Li Shangjin nodded again. "Master." Just then, a shout came from outside the door. "What's the matter?" Li Xianyu asked outside the door. "Master, the young lady is back. Xiaohan is back." Li Xianyu was stunned at first, then looked at Li Changjin and said with a smile, "Look, I said Xiaohan would come back safely. Let's go out and take a look. I haven't seen my precious granddaughter for so long. I really miss her." Hearing the news that Li Zihan was coming home, Li Shangjin was naturally very happy. He stood up and walked out with Li Xianyu. Outside the Li family mansion, a car drove slowly. "My home is in front." Li Zihan looked forward with her beautiful eyes and said with a smile, "Sister Zihan, your home is really big." Muran Shan saw the mansion in front of her and sighed. This was not Muran Shan deliberately flattering Li Zihan, but the mansion of the Li family was indeed very big. Li Zihan responded, "Before the doomsday, my family lived in another place. We moved here after the doomsday. This place is nice." Lin Fan smiled faintly. "Can the car drive in?" "Sure, drive to the gate, and I'll tell the gatekeeper," Li Zihan said. Lin Fan drove the car to the gate, and after the car stopped, the door opened and Li Zihan got out. "Miss," the gatekeeper was originally going to come forward to ask who was in the car, but before he came forward, he saw Li Zihan's figure and his face was immediately full of surprise. "Open the door. The car is full of my friends." Li Zihan smiled slightly. "Okay, miss," the gatekeeper nodded quickly, and then without any delay, opened the door to both sides. "Miss, come in quickly. Your father has missed you a lot during this period," the gatekeeper said casually. "Okay, I'll go in first," Li Zihan said and returned to the car. Lin Fan closed the car door and continued driving. He quickly drove the car to the parking space according to the route indicated by Li Zihan. "Get out of the car. I'll take you to see my dad and my grandpa," Li Zihan said. "Brother Lin Fan, do we need to take our things down?" Muran Shan looked at Lin Fan and asked. "No need to take them down. Just put them in the car. When you need something, you can always get it from the car, right?" Lin Fan smiled. Lin Fan mainly wanted to get in touch with Li Zihan's family first to see if her family was easy to get in touch with. If they were, then he might as well get in touch with them more. If they were not, then he planned to leave here after getting the reward that Li Zihan mentioned. After all, there would definitely be a fight between the Li family and the Zhuang family. If Li Zihan's family was not easy to get in touch with, there was no need for them to stay here to help. Therefore, there was really no need to take the things out of the car now. "Okay, Brother Lin Fan," Muran Shan nodded obediently. Li Zihan is a smart person. From the fact that Lin Fan didn't let Muran Shan take the things out of the car now, she could roughly understand what Lin Fan meant. However, she had great confidence in her family and believed that her family would not leave any bad impression on Lin Fan. The 4 people got out of the car, and Li Zihan walked in front to lead the way, taking Lin Fan, Murongsu and Muran Shan to the backyard of the mansion. The backyard is the area where the original surnames of their Li family live. Li Xianyun and Li Changjin both live in the backyard. Li Zihan and Lin Fan had just arrived at the backyard gate and were about to step into the backyard when they saw two figures walking out of the backyard. These two figures were naturally Li Xianyun and Li Changjin. "Grandpa, Dad," Li Zihan shouted hurriedly. "Zihan, you are finally back." Li Changjin was a little excited, walked up and took Li Zihan into his arms. Anyone can see how deep his fatherly love for Li Zihan is. Which is definitely not fake. Chapter 219, The Price Must Be Paid. Li Zihan's mother died when she was young. Li Changjin can be said to have taken care of Li Zihan as both a father and a mother. Li Zihan's affection for Li Changjin is naturally very deep. "Zihan, your father has been very worried these days. If you don't come back, he's going to bring people to find you," Li Xianyun said with a smile. While speaking, Li Xianyun looked at Lin Fan and the other two and said, "Who are these three?" Li Zihan hurriedly introduced, "Grandpa, Dad, let me introduce you. They are the friends I met when I went out for training this time." Then, she looked at Lin Fan and the other two and introduced them one by one. "This is Lin Fan, this is Muran Zhu, and this is Muran Shan." After Li Zihan finished speaking, Lin Fan and the other two greeted Li Xianyun and Li Changjin in unison. "Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Li family," Li Xianyun responded with a smile. Lin Fan felt that this first meeting was not bad. At least, as a third-level evolver and the head of the Li family, Li Xianyun did not put on any high-handedness and look down on others. Thinking of this, Lin Fan used the ring to read Li Xianyun's data. Species, human level, level 3 speed. 13 strength. 13 reaction. 13 superpower, none all data have reached 13. Li Xianyun's evolution speed is really fast. After reading Li Xianyun's data with a ring, Lin Fan's heart skipped a beat and he sighed secretly. It has been less than half a year since the Doomsday outbreak. It is indeed very rare for Li Xianyun, an old man in his 60s, to reach such a level. If Li Xianyun is still young, then his future is really limitless. When Lin Fan was looking at Li Xianyun was also looking at Lin Fan carefully. Although this man is still very young, he exudes an extraordinary aura. It's not simple, Li Xianyun also sighed in his heart. With his strength, even without the ring to read Lin Fan's data, he can feel that Lin Fan is extraordinary. At the same time, he also looked at Muran Zhu and Muran Shan, and realized that even if Muran Zhu and Muran Shan did not have the same aura as Lin Fan, they were definitely not ordinary girls. These three people are all evolvers. In a short time, Li Xianyun came to a conclusion. Then, he noticed that there was a German shepherd following behind Lin Fan and the other two. "Huh? Is this dog with you?" Li Xianyun asked with a little surprise. "Yes, Master Li, it's with us," Lin Fan nodded. Before Li Xianyun could continue speaking, Li Changjin said beside him, "It has actually evolved to level 2, Dad, its name is Andy." Li Zihan continued, "Andy has not only evolved to level 2, but also mutated." "What?" Li Zihan's words surprised Li Xianyun and Li Changjin. Andy was met by Lin Fan and the others in another province, several months apart, and then this time I met Andy again in Tonghai province, and, Li Zihan quickly recounted this story. Hearing this, Li Xianyun's expression condensed, and he said, "We extracted the mutagenic factor from it, and then let it go. A few months later, we happened to meet it in Tonghai province, and it evolved so quickly, so it must have mutated. I didn't expect your luck to be so good. This kind of animal that evolves and mutates is purely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," Li Changjin said beside him. "Friend Lin is so lucky," Li Xianyun laughed. "Master Li and Uncle are too kind," Lin Fan responded politely. "Dad, let's not stand outside. Let's go into the study and sit down and chat," Li Changjin said. "Yes, let's go to the study and chat," Li Xianyun nodded. After entering the study and inviting Lin Fan and others to sit down, Li Changjin asked someone to make a few cups of good tea. "By the way, where are Zion, Zhu Bingwen and the others? Why don't I see them?" Li Changjin suddenly thought of this question. When Li Changjin asked this question, the atmosphere in the study instantly became solidified. Li Xianyun and Li Changjin also noticed that the atmosphere was not right. When they looked at Li Zihan's face, they saw that it had indeed changed a lot. "Zihan, what's wrong?" Li Changjin asked hurriedly. "Zihan, whatever happened, just tell me," Li Xianyun said. Li Zihan took a deep breath and said, Grandpa, Dad, and Uncle Zhu are both dead. Dead. Li Xianyun and Li Changjin were extremely shocked and looked at Li Zihan in amazement. Li Xianyun immediately asked, how did they die? Were they killed by zombies? Not zombies, nor animals. A deep hatred emerged in Li Zihan's beautiful eyes, and he said, Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang killed them. What? This answer made Li Xianyun and Li Changjin's eyes widen. Xianyun, what happened? Tell me in detail, Li Xianyun asked solemnly. Li Zihan didn't delay and told the whole story. Bang! Li Xianyun and Li Changjin slapped their hands on the table almost at the same time. Their facial expressions were extremely angry. They never thought that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others would dare to do such a thing. Looking for death? The people of the Zhuang family are really looking for death? Li Changjin was so angry that his face almost turned black. Li Zihan was his only daughter. How could he not be angry when Zhuang Lishan wanted to forcibly occupy his daughter? At this time, if Zhuang Lishan was in front of him, he would even want to punch Zhuang Lishan to death. How dare the people of the Zhuang family be so shameless? Li Xianyun was also very angry. He stretched out his hand and slapped the table again, saying, Xiao Han, my dear granddaughter, don't worry, Grandpa will definitely seek justice for you. The Zhuang family did such an excessive thing. Even if my Li family goes to war with them, we must ask them for an explanation. Li Xianyun really didn't expect that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others would attack Li Zihan, Zhu Bingquan and the other two. This made him so angry. It was obvious that both parties went out to train together, but Zhuang Lishan had a different mind in the middle of the journey and killed Zhu Bingquan and the other two, forcing Li Zihan to jump off a cliff to escape. If it weren't for Lin Fan and the other two who came to the rescue, Li Zihan would never have returned to the Li family alive. This hatred was already equivalent to a huge hatred, and it must be avenged. If the people of the Zhuang family dare to do such a thing, then they must pay the price. Li Changjin clenched his fists, his knuckles turned white and creaked. That's right. They must pay the price. Li Xianyun took a deep breath, then looked at Lin Fan and the other two, and said, Little friend Lin, thank you for saving Xianyun. If it weren't for you, the consequences would be disastrous. Yes. Thank you three so much. Li Changjin followed to thank them. Chapter 220 Extra 5 Tubes. From Li Zihan's description, Li Xianyun and Li Changjin could already feel how dangerous the situation Li Zihan had experienced was. Moreover, they believed that the real situation must be even more dangerous than what Li Zihan described. Li Zihan was lucky enough to survive this time and return to the Li family normally, all thanks to the help of Lin Fan and the other two. They really thanked Lin Fan and the other two from the bottom of their hearts. Grandpa, Dad, Lin Fan and the others used mutagenic factors to heal my injuries. I was seriously injured at the time and was unconscious, and they didn't have any other medicines on them, Li Zihan said in detail. Lin Fan guessed and thought that mutagenic factors can make ordinary people evolve, which means that mutagenic factors can make the human body stronger. So he injected a tube of mutagenic factors into my body and healed my injuries. Mutagenic factors. Li Xianyun's eyes condensed, and then he said, Little friend Lin is really a man who dares to think and do. We only know that mutagenic factors can make ordinary people evolve, and we have never thought that mutagenic factors can also be used to treat human injuries, but this reasoning is indeed true. Making ordinary people's bodies evolve and become stronger means making a major transformation to the human body. When a person is injured, it is equivalent to a weakened body. Using mutagenic factors to make the body stronger is not bad. As the head of the Li family and a genuine third-level evolver, Li Xianyun had not thought of this before today. He really admires Lin Fan. Grandpa, although I was already unconscious when Lin Fan and the others rescued me, after I woke up, I told them that I must repay them for saving my life. In addition, since they helped me fight off Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhang and others who chased after me, I promised to give them 10 tubes of mutagenic factors, Li Zihan said. Of course, this is what I should do. Li Xianyun nodded without thinking. Our Li family has always been grateful for what we have done. Moreover, if it weren't for Lin Fan and the others who rescued me, I wouldn't be able to see you now. How can I not repay such a favor, little friend Lin? Wait a moment, I'll go get you 10 tubes of mutagenic factors. Li Xianyun was a man who acted decisively. As soon as he finished speaking, he walked out of the study to get the mutagenic factors. Lin Fan had a very good impression of Li Xianyun. When he heard Li Zihan say that the reward was 10 tubes of mutagenic factors, Li Xianyun didn't even frown. and didn't consider whether 10 tubes of mutagenic factors would be too much. This is enough to show that Li Xianun is a person who truly knows how to repay kindness. If the head of the family is like this, the rest of the Li family is probably not much different. Such a family is indeed worth getting to know. Lin Fan, thank you so much. Li Xiangjun looked at Lin Fan. He couldn't imagine how he would face the rest of his life if Li Zihan didn't come back safely this time. Uncle, you don't have to be so polite, Lin Fan saluted. The room where Li Xianun was going to get the mutagenic factor was not far from the study, so after a while, Li Xianun took the mutagenic factor back to the study. He put the mutagenic factor in a small pocket, walked to Lin Fan, handed the pocket to Lin Fan, and said, "Little friend Lin, thank you for saving Xiaohan." This was the reward that Lin Fan deserved, so Lin Fan naturally wouldn't be hypocritical and refuse, and reached out to take the pocket. But the moment he got the pocket, he felt that there seemed to be more than 10 tubes of mutagenic factor in the pocket. He quickly opened his pocket and saw that, as he expected, there were not 10 tubes of mutagenic factors in this pocket, but 15 tubes. Master Li, the reward I agreed with Miss Li was 10 tubes, why did you give me 15 tubes? Lin Fan still opened his pocket and asked Li Xianun. Little friend Lin, although the reward you agreed with Xiaohan was 10 tubes, you saved Xiaohan's life after all. The other 5 tubes are our Li family's thank you gift to you, Li Xianun said with a smile. If it weren't for the fact that there were not many mutagenic factors in their family now, it would not be impossible for him to give Lin Fan more as a reward. After all, among the third generation of the Li family, only Li Zihan is his direct relative and his granddaughter. It can be said that the entire Li family will be handed over to Li Zihan in the future. What's more, Li Zihan's talent in the field of evolvers is also quite good. After Li Zihan grows up, he will definitely surpass them. To put it more seriously, Lin Fan and the other two saved Li Zihan's life, which was equivalent to saving the future of the entire Li family. If Li Zihan died, even if they could avenge Li Zihan and raze the Zhuang family to the ground, they would have no direct bloodline on their side of the Li family. They couldn't pass the Li family to someone else in the future, right? So, when he went to get the mutagenic factor just now, Li Xianun thought about it seriously and decided to give Lin Fan 5 more tubes of mutagenic factor as a thank you from the Li family. Lin Fan, my dad is right. The 10 tubes of mutagenic factor are the reward that Xiaohan promised to give you. The other 5 tubes are our Li family, or my and Xiaohan's grandfather's special thanks to you. You must accept them. Li Xiangjun also spoke from the side. Now Li Xianun is in charge of the affairs of the Li family. Li Xianun has already taken out 5 extra tubes to reward Lin Fan, so there is no need for him to take more. Yes, Lin Fan, you accept it, don't refuse, Li Zihan nodded. Lin Fan glanced at Li Xianun, Li Xiangjun and Li Zihan. From their eyes and facial expressions, he could feel their deep sincerity. It was definitely not a pretense of delay. Okay, I'll take it first. Lin Fan thought about it and decided to take the extra 5 tubes of mutagenic factors. Of course, when he decided to take it, he also made a new decision, that is, if the Li family wanted to deal with a banker, he would participate in it and lend a helping hand to the Li family. After all, from what happened just now, it can be seen that the Li family is a real and down-to-earth person. If he helps the Li family this time, he will definitely be able to forge a deep friendship with the Li family. If he encounters difficulties and troubles in the future, the Li family will definitely not stand idly by. Hearing that Lin Fan agreed to take it, the smiles on Li Xianun and Li Qiangjun's faces became even stronger. Xiaohan, then you take Lin Xiaoyao and the others to have some rest first and arrange a room for them. Your father and I will gather the family members to negotiate and come up with a specific plan to ask the banker for an explanation. The banker must pay a price in blood for this matter, Li Xianun said confidently. Chapter 221 Guessing Lin Fan's Thoughts. Hearing Li Xianun's instructions, Li Zihan nodded, looked at Lin Fan, Murongzhu and Murongshan, and said with a smile, I'll take you to the courtyard next to it to rest. Okay, Lin Fan and the other two nodded. After running around for so long, it was time to have a good rest. Moreover, Li Xianun and Li Qiangjun were going to gather the people of the Li family to discuss how to deal with the Zhuang family. As outsiders, it was not convenient for them to participate. It was reasonable to make time for Li Xianun and Li Qiangjun. Following Li Zihan, Lin Fan and the other two walked out of the study and soon went to a courtyard not far away. This courtyard has been empty here. No one has lived here, but people are arranged to clean it every day. There is no problem with hygiene. There are a total of 5 empty rooms. You can live in any room you want, Li Zihan said. Sister Zihan, your family is too polite. They even gave us 5 more tubes of mutagenic factors, Murin Shan said. This is what I should do, Li Zihan responded, then looked towards the study and said, then you guys rest here first, I'll go over and negotiate with them, and you can come to me anytime if you have anything. Okay, you go ahead and get busy, Lin Fan nodded. Li Zihan didn't delay any longer, turned around and walked out of the courtyard, and walked back to the study. After Li Zihan left, Lin Fan looked at Muringzu and Muring Shan, and asked with a smile, how do you feel, brother Lin Fan? What do you mean? Muring Shan asked with a puzzled look on her pretty face. My impression of the people in the Li family, Lin Fan said. Very good, Muring Shan gave her evaluation. Although I haven't come into contact with other members of the Li family, from the perspective of Li Zihan's father and grandfather, I still have a very good impression of them. Moreover, I believe that if the 2 of them can do this, then the rest of the Li family should not be too bad, Muringzu said pertinently. Well, indeed, I have a very good impression of them too, Lin Fan nodded slightly. Brother Lin Fan, should we help the Li family in the battle with the Zhuang family? Muring Shan blinked. Before Lin Fan could speak, Muringzu walked up to Muring Shan, reached out and touched her hair, and said, Zio Shan, from that moment just now, Lin Fan has decided to help the Li family. Ah. When? Muring Shan's eyes were filled with doubt. Lin Fan also looked at Muringzu with interest. He wanted to see how Muringzu judged it. When Lin Fan accepted the 5 extra tubes of mutagenic factors given by the Li family, he had already made up his mind to help the Li family, Muringzu said while looking at Lin Fan. Am I right? Absolutely right, Lin Fan said in a tone of praise. Sister, you guess it all. Muring Shan seemed to feel something was wrong after she finished speaking, and quickly added, no, I should say that you have guessed brother Lin Fan's thoughts, and I can't even hide this from you. Muringzu smiled lightly and said, 10 tubes of mutagenic factors are the reward that Li Zihan promised to give us, but the extra 5 tubes are not within the promised range. If Lin Fan does not intend to help the Li family, he will definitely not accept the extra 5 tubes of mutagenic factors. He will only accept it if he decides to help the Li family. It must be said that Muringzu's analysis is very accurate. She is the person who knows Lin Fan's character best. Yes, from the contact with the Li family just now, I made a decision. In this battle between the Li family and the Zhuang family, we can participate in helping the Li family. It should be a good deal with the Li family in advance. Lin Fan smiled lightly. Brother Lin Fan, if we want to help the Li family deal with the Zhuang family, shouldn't we listen to them when they discuss countermeasures? Muring Shan asked curiously. No need, Lin Fan pondered. The head of the Li family is old and a level 3 evolver. In addition, he was able to develop the Li family so well before and after the outbreak of the Doomsday. I believe he will have the right countermeasures. We only need to act according to the situation. Li Xianyun gave people a very calm feeling. Lin Fan really believed that Li Xianyun would take all aspects of the problem into consideration and would not let the people of the Li family suffer in vain. That's right, then we will wait for the arrangement. Muring Shan nodded her head. Soon, Andy appeared in the courtyard. Andy, where have you been? Seeing Andy appear, Muring Shan waved to Andy. Just now, when they went to the study to talk, Andy did not follow them into the study, but went outside to wander around. Now he must have come here by smelling the smell. Andy ran to Muring Shan and wagged his tail. Although he could not speak to answer Muring Shan's question, he kept looking in another direction with his eyes, which was undoubtedly telling Muring Shan that he had just gone in that direction. Lin Fan walked over, reached out and touched Andy's head, and then said, okay, let's go back to the room and have a rest. It is still unknown when the Li family plans to attack the banker. They can rest and adjust their state and be fully prepared. I want that room. Muring Shan pointed to the door opposite and said. After that, she tilted her head to look at Andy squatting on the ground and giggled. Andy, do you want to go to the room with me to rest? Hearing Muring Shan say this, Andy stood up. Muring Shan was overjoyed, thinking that Andy was going to go back to the room with her. As a result, Andy did not walk towards her, but walked towards Lin Fan. The meaning was obvious, telling Muring Shan that he wanted to stay with Lin Fan, not with her. This really pissed off Muring Shan. She glared at Andy and said, go, Go, I won't talk to you anymore, okay, Xiao Shan, go and have a rest, Murengzu said helplessly. Well, sister, I'm going back to my room, Mureng Shan nodded. She was indeed a little tired. She walked into the room, closed the door and took a rest. Then I'll go to have a rest too, Murengzu said to Lin Fan. Okay, Lin Fan responded and took Andy to another room. When Lin Fan was resting on the bed, Andy lay on the ground in front of the window, as if he was acting as a bodyguard for Lin Fan. His eyes kept scanning the surroundings, and any slight movement would not escape his eyes. While Lin Fan, Murengzu and Mureng Shan were resting, the meeting hall of the Li family was already full of people. Be quiet and listen to me, Li Xianyun said loudly as he swept his eyes over the crowd. Chapter 222, Common Enemy. As soon as Li Xianyun finished speaking, the entire meeting hall suddenly became quiet, and no one spoke again. From this, it can be seen that Li Xianyun has absolute prestige in the Li family. Moreover, this prestige is not created by being fierce, but by everyone's willing obedience. At this time, all eyes converged on Li Xianyun. Facing the gazes of the crowd, Li Xianyun said in a calm tone, I temporarily summoned everyone to come here for a meeting, mainly to tell you something very important. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the meeting hall became a little solidified. They all knew Li Xianyun's temper and personality very well. If Li Xianyun said that this was a very important matter, it meant that the matter had indeed reached the point where it had to be discussed. Otherwise Li Xianyun would not have temporarily summoned all of them here for a meeting. Because, according to past practice, every time the Li family held such a large meeting, they would notify them in advance, at least one day in advance. Thinking of this, all eyes were focused on Li Xianyun, without even blinking. Li Xianyun took a deep breath and said loudly, I have decided to go to war with the Zhuang family, hiss. When Li Xianyun's voice fell, the entire meeting hall almost simultaneously gasped. Go to war with the Zhuang family? What does this mean? It means that the two families will fight to the death. The Li family and the Zhuang family are both the largest families in Zhonghai province. If these two families go to war, even an ordinary person can imagine what kind of impact it will have on both sides. Patriarch, why is this? Yes, Patriarch, haven't our Li family and the Zhuang family always had a good relationship? Although we have a good relationship with the Zhuang family on the surface, it's not to the point of tearing our faces apart, right, Patriarch? I hope you will think twice about this. After the people of the Li family reacted, they began to advise one by one. The war between the two families is a serious matter, and they must persuade Li Xianyun to think twice before acting. Li Xianyun was not surprised at the reaction of the crowd. If the crowd had not given such advice, he would have found it strange. He raised his hand, and when the crowd saw his gesture, they immediately stopped discussing. Everyone, I know that the war between the two families is not trivial. I called you here temporarily to tell you why our Li family must go to war with the Zhuang family, Li Xianyun said in a deep voice. Master, we are indeed very confused about this issue. After all, the young lady went out with the Zhuang family to train before, a middle-aged man in his 40s spoke. When he said this, he suddenly thought of something and changed the subject, saying, is it because something went wrong during this training? It must be said that this middle-aged man's reaction was quite fast. In such a short time, he could grasp the key to the problem from Li Xianyun's words. Of course, this middle-aged man's status in the Li family is indeed not low. Li Xianyun nodded and said, yes, something went wrong during this training. Zhu Bingquan and the other two have been tragically killed by Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others. What? As soon as this remark came out, the whole audience was shocked. Everyone in the Li family had their eyes widened at this time. They never thought that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others would dare to kill Zhu Bingquan and the others. In other words, they did not expect that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others would dare to disregard the reputation of their Li family. After all, killing someone from the Li family is equivalent to declaring war on their Li family. Fortunately, Xiaohan was lucky enough to escape from the bushes. Although he was seriously injured, he was rescued by kind people. Otherwise, Xiaohan would not be able to come back alive from this experience, Li Xianyun said solemnly. Too much? Too arrogant. The people of the Zhuang family did such a thing, they simply didn't take our Li family seriously. We must make them pay with blood, yes. I didn't expect them to dare to do this. Now think about it carefully, they asked the young lady to go out for training. I'm afraid they had this idea from the beginning, The young lady is the future head of our Li family. They want to kill the young lady, which means they want to ruin the future of our Li family. We must not get around them, head of the family. We didn't understand the reason just now. Now that we know, we will all unite as one and go to war with the Zhuang family. Yes. Go to war. We must go to war. No matter what, we must let the Zhuang family know that our Li family is not easy to provoke. After listening to what Li Xianyun said, everyone in the Li family became united in hatred of the enemy, and they wanted to rush to the Zhuang family and kill them all. They all knew that Li Zihan was the future head of the Li family. If something happened to Li Zihan, even if the development of the Li family would not be completely ruined, it would definitely be greatly affected. From this point of view, this matter is no less than the Zhuang family taking the initiative to declare war on the Li family. If they don't take a tough attitude to resist, the Zhuang family will really think that the Li family is a coward who dares not fight back after being bullied like this. If this continues, the Zhuang family will definitely do something more extreme, and it is not impossible to find an opportunity to destroy the Li family directly. Seeing that everyone is united against the enemy, Li Xianyun is naturally very satisfied. When it comes to a war between two major families, if the people in the family cannot form a united front, then the result of the war is really hard to say. It is necessary to unify the internal forces first. We will never forgive what the Zhuang family did. No matter what negotiation conditions they put forward or how much benefit they offer, we will not accept it. This time, we have only one goal, that is, to get rid of the Zhuang family, Li Xianyun said indignantly. Get rid of the Zhuang family, we must get rid of it, even if we die, we must get rid of the Zhuang family, everyone responded with high morale. The Zhuang family is in the wrong, and the Li family is in the right. The Zhuang family is guilty, and the Li family is united. This kind of opportunity doesn't come along all the time, and Li Xianyun also wants to seize this opportunity to get rid of the Zhuang family in one fell swoop. After getting rid of the Zhuang family, all of the Zhuang family's resources will belong to their Li family. With this in mind, no matter what conditions the Zhuang family puts forward, it is obviously unnecessary to consider them. Master, the Zhuang family's strength cannot be underestimated. If we go to war with them and want to get rid of them completely, we must come up with a detailed plan and not take it lightly. The middle-aged man spoke again. Although he was also very angry about what the Zhuang family did, he couldn't let hatred cloud his mind, and he still had to stay calm when he needed to. Yes, we need to come up with a detailed plan to minimize our damage. Li Xianyun waved his hand and said, now, if you have any good suggestions, you can speak freely and we will discuss it carefully. Chapter 223 Zhuang Fenglan gets angry. Li Xianyun is not a dictatorial person. No matter how powerful a person is, he cannot consider all aspects. Their Li family is such a big family. Naturally, there are many people in the family who are quite smart. After hearing Li Xianyun's order, everyone in the Li family began to speak freely and told Li Xianyun what they thought was the most suitable plan. Li Xianyun listened carefully. He kept the good suggestions in mind, and he would not adopt the bad suggestions. While the Li family was holding a meeting, there was also a large manor in another direction. This manor was called Zhuang Family Mansion. Two cars were running quickly on the road outside Zhuang Family Mansion. They soon arrived in front of the gate of Zhuang Family Mansion and were stopped by the gatekeeper. Open the door, we are back. Zhuang Lishan opened the car window, stuck his head out, and said to the gatekeeper. Young master, when the gatekeeper saw that it was Zhuang Lishan and others, he hurriedly shouted respectfully, not daring to delay at all, and immediately opened the door for Zhuang Lishan and others. Zhuang Lishan did not waste time with him. After the gate opened, he stepped on the accelerator and drove straight to the mansion. The car behind him quickly followed. They all knew how serious this incident would be. Therefore, on the way back, they drove at lightning speed, fearing that they would waste a second. The car drove into the Zhuang family mansion and parked in a parking space. Zhuang Lishan and others opened the door and walked out. Zhuang Lishan looked at Liu Zhuang and said, Uncle Liu, you will follow me to see Grandpa now. He must know about this matter first. Well, okay, Liu Zhuang nodded without any objection. You all follow me and wait outside the courtyard later, Zhuang Lishan instructed the others. Yes, the others nodded in response. Master, look, the injured people, should we let them go for treatment first? Liu Zhuang looked at the injured in the team, and then turned his eyes to Zhuang Lishan and reported. The injured should be treated first. Zhuang Lishan waved his hand. These wounded are revolvers after all, not ordinary people. In the apocalypse, every evolver can be said to be a precious and rare existence. You know, on the way back, they didn't have time to treat the wounded. Now, the wounded's injuries are already serious. If they don't treat them, I'm afraid there will be more serious problems. After the wounded left, Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others walked towards the courtyard behind, where the head of the Zhuang family lived. The head of the Zhuang family was named Zhuang Fenglin, who was about the same age as Li Xiaoyan, and both were level 3 evolvers. At this moment, Zhuang Fenglin was sitting in the courtyard to rest. Hearing the footsteps coming from outside the courtyard, he immediately opened his tightly closed eyes and looked outside. Xia Ocean is back. When Zhuang Fenglin saw that the people coming were Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang, the vigilance in his eyes suddenly dissipated, and he said with a smile, "Grandpa, we are back," Zhuang Lishan replied. Head of the family, Liu Zhang greeted respectfully. "You two look a little off, are you in trouble?" When Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang approached, Zhuang Fenglin noticed that Zhuang Lishan and Liu Zhang looked different, and asked with narrowed eyes. Liu Zhang glanced at Zhuang Lishan, who took a deep breath and said, "Grandpa, we did something wrong." "Wrong?" Zhuang Fenglin asked calmly. "What wrong?" "We have a big grudge against the Li family," Zhuang Lishan said in a deep voice. "What did you say?" Zhuang Fenglin frowned slightly and said, "How did you have a big grudge against the Li family? I remember you went out to train with Li Zihan, didn't you?" Zhuang Fenglin didn't quite understand what Zhuang Lishan was talking about. Although he also thought that if the Li family didn't exist, then the Zhuang family could monopolize Honghe province, and the Zhuang family would definitely be able to develop faster and better. But this was just an idea in his mind, and it would be difficult to realize it. Therefore, for now, it is obviously much better to have a good relationship with the Li family and live in harmony with them than to become enemies with them. When the Zhuang family is strong enough to destroy the Li family in the future, it will not be too late to destroy the Li family. "Grandpa, this is what happened." At this critical moment, Zhuang Lishan no longer dared to hide anything and could only explain the matter honestly without adding any exaggeration. Bang! The moment Zhuang Lishan finished speaking, Zhuang Fenglin slapped the small table in front of him with a bang. Crack! Then, the small table was smashed by Zhuang Fenglin's palm and broke into pieces on the ground. "How dare you attack the people of the Li family without authorization?" Zhuang Fenglin roared angrily. "Grandpa, don't be angry, I know I did something wrong. We should never attack Li Zihan and others." Zhuang Lishan hurriedly bowed his head and apologized. He could clearly see that Zhuang Fenglin was really angry at this time. "Master, it's all my fault. You asked me to follow the young master, but we made such a mistake. Please punish me," Liu Zhang said immediately. Bang! Zhuang Fenglin rushed forward and rushed to Liu Zhang. Before Liu Zhang could react, he punched him in the chest. Zhuang Fenglin is still a level 3 evolver, and his speed data has reached 13, which is much better than Liu Zhang. This punch directly knocked Liu Zhang back repeatedly. He retreated a distance of more than 10 meters before he stabilized his body in a very embarrassed manner. "Master, you are right to punish me," Liu Zhang said with his head down, without any complaints or resentment. He thought about it carefully later and realized that he was indeed wrong in this matter. Zhuang Fenglin asked him to go out with Zhuang Lishan to gain experience, mainly for 2 purposes. First, to protect Zhuang Lishan's safety and prevent him from getting hurt. After all, Zhuang Lishan is the heir to the future head of the Zhuang family, and his status is not much different from Li Zihan's in the Li family. If Zhuang Lishan gets into trouble or encounters danger, it will definitely be a big blow to the Zhuang family. Secondly, Zhuang Lishan's personality is a bit fierce, so he should stay with Zhuang Lishan and persuade him a lot to prevent Zhuang Lishan from doing anything impulsive. However, not only did he not use all his efforts to stop Zhuang Lishan from attacking Li Zihan, but he also gave Zhuang Lishan some ideas. It is clear that his failure to supervise him led to the tragedy. "And you bastard," Zhuang Fenglin didn't care about Liu Zhang anymore. He turned his eyes and fell on Zhuang Lishan, saying, "Not only can you not let Li Zihan like you, but you also want to take Li Zihan by force. Not only did you fail, but you also gave Li Zihan a chance to escape." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 The Priority. Things have already happened, and Zhuang Fenglin can obviously see through the most critical problem. The most critical thing is that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others actually let Li Zihan escape. If Li Zihan died, then even if the Li family had some suspicions, they would always remain in the suspicion stage. Without real evidence, they could not come to the Zhuang family to seek revenge. Of course, he was angry, but Zhuang Fenglan only had Zhuang Lishan as his grandson, and he was reluctant to hit Zhuang Lishan. Grandpa, I already know that I was wrong. How could I want to let Li Zihan go? It was really beyond our expectations. I didn't expect those three people to help him. In addition, those three people had a very powerful modified car. No matter how we drove, we couldn't catch up, which let Li Zihan escape. Zhuang Lishan had a regretful expression on his face. Yes, Patriarch, those three people did have a very powerful modified car in their hands. The car was parked there. We, several second-level evolvers, attacked together, but we couldn't bring any damage to the modified car, Liu Zhuang said, covering his chest. Although Zhuang Fenglan didn't use his full strength in the punch he threw just now, it was definitely not light. If it weren't for the fact that he was still a second-level evolver, Zhuang Fenglan would definitely have wiped him out. What is the relationship between those three people and Li Zihan? Zhuang Fenglan asked. No relationship at all. They met by chance. We didn't expect that they would come to his rescue when Li Zihan was so seriously injured, Zhuang Lishan answered. Li Zihan jumped from a cliff more than 100 meters high. Li Zihan is only a second-level evolver. His injuries would be very serious anyway. How did they save Li Zihan? Zhuang Fenglan frowned even more deeply. We asked, but the man refused to say anything. We wanted to capture him and force him to tell us, but we couldn't do it. Zhuang Lishan shook his head. Zhuang Fenglan squinted his eyes and thought for a while. After about half a minute, he said, according to your description, the modified car is very fast. If there is no accident on the way, Li Zihan should return to the Li family earlier than you did. Master, Li Zihan will definitely arrive at the Li family earlier than you, Liu Zhuang said firmly. After we learned that we couldn't catch up with the other party, we rushed back without any delay, just to come back quickly to inform you to make all preparations. Grandpa, judging from Li Zihan's attitude, she will undoubtedly tell Li Xianyun about the matter after returning to the Li family. We killed Zhu Dingquan and the other two. With Li Xianyun's character, he will definitely attack our Zhuang family. We have to think about how to deal with it, Zhuang Lishan said anxiously. Are you anxious now? Zhuang Fenglan shouted. Why didn't you think about how serious the consequences would be when you did things before? Hearing Zhuang Fenglan's blaming roar, Zhuang Lishan was almost frightened, trembling, and dared not say anything more. Zhuang Fenglan looked in the direction of the Li family, took a deep breath, then looked at Liu Zhuang and ordered, Liu Zhuang, go and notify everyone to come to the conference room for a meeting. Yes, Patriarch. Liu Zhuang nodded and replied, turned and walked out of the room. What are you still standing here for? Come with me to the conference room and wait. Zhuang Fenglan glared at Zhuang Lishan and said unhappily. Zhuang Lishan didn't dare to talk back, so he nodded carefully, followed Zhuang Fenglan out of the room, and walked towards the conference room. The Zhuang family's conference room has an area of 300 square meters. The table used for meetings can easily accommodate 100 people. Not long after Zhuang Fenglan and Zhuang Lishan arrived at the conference room, people gathered. Those who came first were curious and asked Zhuang Fenglan what was going on. However, Zhuang Fenglan didn't tell them, but asked them to wait and tell them all after everyone arrived. They didn't dare to disagree with such an answer, and each found a good seat and sat down, waiting for everyone to arrive. 45 minutes later, Liu Zhuang and another person walked into the room. Liu Zhuang walked straight to Zhuang Fenglan and reported in a low voice, Master, everyone is here. Well, you go sit down too. Zhuang Fenglan nodded. Yes, Liu Zhuang quickly walked to his seat and sat down. Everyone gathered their eyes on Zhuang Fenglan. Zhuang Fenglan glanced at everyone and said, I called you here urgently because there is indeed something urgent. I hope everyone can give appropriate suggestions for this matter. Master, please speak. An old man in his 50s spoke. If my guess is correct, then in a short time, the Li family will take action against our Zhuang family, Zhuang Fenglan said in a deep voice. Where did the Li family get the courage to attack our banker? Yes, Patriarch. Are the Li family crazy? Patriarch, where did you get this news? Why did the Li family want to go to war with our banker? If this news is true, then the people of the Li family are too arrogant. Do they think that our banker is a vegetarian? That's right. As long as they dare to come, let them come without return. Give them a head-on blow, They will know that we are not easy to provoke. Everyone in the banker expressed their opinions and views. Zhuang Fenglin listened to all their discussions. When the discussion gradually subsided, he said, "This matter is related to Zai-Ocean because Zai-Ocean made a mistake." "What mistake did the young master make?" Everyone's eyes converged on Zhuang Lishan. "Tell me the whole story," Zhuang Fenglin ordered. "Yes," Zhuang Lishan nodded, stood up from his seat, and repeated the story again according to Zhuang Fenglin's instructions. After listening to this, everyone felt a little helpless. They didn't expect Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others to make such a mistake. If the Li family came purely to invade their Zhuang family, then they should fight to the death. But now it is obvious that their Zhuang family is in the wrong. It is obvious that Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others have made mistakes. How can they face this? Zhuang Fenglin was not surprised by the reactions of the crowd. His eyes sank slightly and he said, "Everyone, it is indeed Zai-Ocean and Liu Zhuang who did something wrong in this matter, but it has already happened. We have to consider the consequences. Li Zihan has returned to the Li family. After she told Li Xianyun about the matter, Li Xianyun will definitely come to trouble our Zhuang family. If we are not fully prepared, it is very likely that the Zhuang family will be eliminated by the Li family. As for the mistakes of Zai-Ocean and Liu Zhuang, they must be punished, but this will have to wait until the invasion of the Li family is over. The most urgent task is to deal with the Li family first." Chapter 225 Two Options. Zhuang Fenglin knew very well that after the mistakes made by Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others were made public, many members of the Zhuang family would be shocked. The most important thing is that it would affect everyone's morale. As the saying goes, only when the truth is right can one be strong. If the truth is not right, then the so-called spirit cannot be strong. Morale must be an important factor in the war between the two families. Before fighting with the Li family, Zhuang Fenglin must first stabilize the morale of their Zhuang family. Otherwise, it is very likely that their Zhuang family will suffer a big loss. The head of the family is right. No matter what happened before, the matter has been settled. So what we have to do now is to make full preparations to prevent the Li family from suddenly attacking us and leaving us at a loss, a person with a relatively high status in the Zhuang family said. Yes, now is not the time to argue about right or wrong, but the Li family may come to attack us at any time, so we must deal with the things in front of us first, another person said. As the two people finished speaking, many people calmed down from their previous emotions. Zhuang Lishan, Liu Zhuang and others made such a mistake and brought the attack of the Li family to the Zhuang family. They should be severely punished. But now is not the best time to punish them. The Li family may attack at any time. If they want to punish them, they have to deal with the Li family first. However, they are in the wrong after all. There are still a few people who think they are too ashamed to confront the Li family in such a matter. But Zhuang Lishan is the only grandson of Zhuang Fenglin and the future heir to the head of the Zhuang family. They dare not say it out loud to offend Zhuang Lishan and can only keep it in their stomach. The Li family is only a day's journey away from us. They are discussing how to deal with our Zhuang family today, which will take a day off. So, on the third day, which is probably the day after tomorrow, the people of the Li family will definitely come. Zhuang Fenglin said solemnly, "Everyone, please tell us what good suggestions you have. We must also take all kinds of situations into consideration. Master, the overall strength of the Li family is comparable to that of our Zhuang family. If our two families go to war, it will definitely have a great impact, and there will even be many casualties." A middle-aged man stood up and said, "It's not that I'm afraid of death, but I think that if we fight the Li family openly now, it will definitely make other family forces ecstatic. What if those family forces attack us when we are at our weakest? Then how should we deal with it?" Lin is right. We must take this situation into consideration. We can't just consider dealing with the Li family, but also consider whether other family forces will take advantage of the opportunity to move in. Another person added. Lin, what do you mean? Zhuang Fenglin turned his gaze to the middle-aged man and asked patiently. Now he is calling everyone together to discuss countermeasures. No matter what suggestions someone makes, he must consider them. He cannot just blame or reject them. Otherwise, no one will dare to make suggestions next time. Master, what I mean is, although our family killed Zhu Dingquan and the other two, Li Zihan is still alive. As long as Li Zihan is alive, I think this is a blessing in disguise for the Li family, the middle-aged man said in a deep voice. When the people from the Li family come, I suggest that we apologize to them first, and then give them compensation to see if we can resolve this war. Lin. What kind of bullshit idea did you come up with? A man in his 30s sneered. Give compensation to the Lee family. Doesn't that mean we are bowing to the Lee family? By then, the Lee family will think we are afraid of them. What's more, if they ask for a huge amount of money, do we have to satisfy them at all costs? That's right. The Lee family is not a good family. Who can guarantee that they won't ask for a huge amount of money? Well, when the time comes, they ask for half of our resources from the Lee family to give them. Should we agree or not, Alan? Your suggestion is not okay. We must never do what you say. Some people also raised objections. In their eyes, the suggestion given by Lin was purely to flatter the Lee family. It seemed that there was no other benefit except to make the Lee family look down on them. The rebuttal of the crowd made Lin look a little unhappy. He raised his voice and said, "Have you ever thought about how much loss and casualties will there be if our two families go to war? If other forces take advantage of the situation, will our banker still have the strength to deal with it? No matter how much loss and casualties we have, their Lee family will not be much better. The worst case scenario is that both sides will die," someone retorted again. People who hold this opinion have nothing more than one mentality, that is, to fight to the death. No matter how much they have to pay, they must fight with the Lee family and cannot bow to the Lee family. Patriarch. No matter how big the conflict between us and the Lee family is, and no matter who is stronger or weaker between us and the Lee family, our ultimate goal must be to make the banker develop for a long time. Lin knew that arguing with these people was no longer useful, and immediately looked at Zhuang Fenglin and said. Zhuang Fenglin thought for a while and said, "What Alan said makes sense. While dealing with the Lee family, we also have to consider other family forces and can't give them opportunities in vain. However, if the Lee family makes unreasonable demands for compensation, we can't agree to it. It's better to start a war to let the Lee family know our Zhuang family's determination. They can't expect to blackmail them. The head of the family is wise." Alan nodded. "This is a plan for the two families to avoid going to war. Let's see if this plan works. If it works, and the compensation proposed by the Lee family is within our range, then we can agree to it for now. When we become stronger and annex the Lee family, these resources will sooner or later return to our Zhuang family." Zhuang Fenglin waved his hand on the table and said, "The plan for not going to war has been decided, so you should also consider the plan for going to war, because the Lee family may also take advantage of this matter and insist on going to war with our Zhuang family. There is a chance that we must consider it first. In fact, in Zhuang Fenglin's heart, he would rather not go to war. As Lin said, it would not be of much benefit for the Zhuang family if the two families went to war now. Not only would they have to bear the losses and casualties of their own family, but they would also have to face the situation of invasion from other family forces at any time. Therefore, he did not want to go to war with the Lee family now, but he had to think of a countermeasure to deal with the Lee family's insistence on going to war at this time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.